Nepal government unveils its 100-day achievements, reports 87% progress in 100-point reform agenda implementation. Nepal's National Assembly approves 4 bills received from House of Representatives. Finance Minister says government committed to removing Nepal from FATF grey list. 127 killed across Nepal in disaster-related incidents since mid-April. 3,700 households affected by disasters. Iran begins public mourning for Ayatollah killed in February. Such comes as Iran and US observe fragile ceasefire to halt conflict. Super Typhoon Bavi strengthens as Guam and Northern Mariana Islands brace for possible impacts. Typhoon Maysak hits China. And World Cup knockout stage kicks off from today with Canada set to face Morocco, France to meet Paraguay in other match. Good evening, I am April Singh Lama and this is NTV World Primetime News coming to you live from Kathmandu at 1900 hours Nepal time. Elsewhere, it's 13:15 in London, 22:15 in Tokyo and just after midnight in Sydney. Now the news in detail. Nepal's government led by Prime Minister Balendra Shah has announced key achievements marking the completion of its first 100 days in office, highlighting progress in governance reforms, service delivery and anti-corruption measures. Government spokesperson and Minister for Education and Sports Susmit Pokhrel said that implementation progress of the government's 100-point governance reform agenda has reached 87.2%. Key advancements include the implementation of open competition for the selection of university vice-chancellors and reforms in the examination system, which have been successfully integrated into the academic calendar. The government has also streamlined its operations by reducing the number of federal ministries, reflecting a commitment to economic frugality.
संघीय मन्त्रालयहरुको बोजिलो संरचना रहँदै आएको थियो 25 जना मन्त्री हुने संरचना अगाडि रहिरहेकोमा हामीले हाम्रो वाचापत्रमा नै यसलाई घटाएर 18 को संख्या पुर्याउँछौं भनेर भनेका थियौं त्यो अनुरूप नै हामीले मन्त्रालयको संख्या 18 मा सीमित गरेका छौं एउटा नयाँ मन्त्रालय विज्ञान प्रविधि तथा नवप्रवर्धन मन्त्रालय हामीले नयाँ गठन गरेका छौं भने संवैधानिक व्यवस्था बमोजिम 25 सदस्य मन्त्री परिषद गठन गर्ने भनेर लेखिए तापनि हामीले 17 सदस्यीय मन्त्री परिषद चाहिँ हामीले गठन गरेको कुरा यहाँलाई अवगतै छ यसो गर्दा यो संरचनात्मक सुधारले वार्षिक करिब 20 अर्ब व्यावहारिक बचत हुने हामीले चाहिँ अनुमान गरेका छौं
Nepal's National Assembly has unanimously approved proposals to consider 4 bills received with messages from the House of Representatives. In a meeting held today, the proposal to consider the Public Procurement Second Amendment Bill 2083 presented by Law Minister Sobita Gautam on behalf of Prime Minister Balendra Shah was passed unanimously. Similarly, the proposal to consider the Money Laundering Prevention Third Amendment Bill 2083 presented by Finance Minister Dr. Swanim Wagle was also approved. The upper house also endorsed the proposal to consider the Cooperatives First Amendment Bill 2083 tabled by Minister for Land Management, Cooperatives, Federal Affairs and General Administration Pratibha Rao. Likewise, the proposal to consider the Some Nepal Acts related to Health Sciences Institutions Amendment Bill 2083 presented by Health and Food Safety Minister Nisha Mehta was also approved. With these decisions, the process of proposing amendments to the 4 bills has now been opened in the National Assembly. The next meeting of the National Assembly has been scheduled for July 6. In other news, Nepal's Finance Minister Dr. Swanim Wagle has said that the government is committed to removing the country from the grey list of the Financial Action Task Force, FATF, presenting a proposal seeking deliberations on prevention of money laundering, Third Amendment Bill 2083 BS. At today's meeting of the National Assembly, he said that full support of all is necessary to remove the country from the list. Finance Minister Dr. Wagle urged everyone to support by considering the seriousness of the matter, as there is a possibility of Nepal being blacklisted if the recommendations given by FATF are not implemented.
मुलुकलाई ग्रे लिस्टबाट चाँडो भन्दा चाँडो कसरी निकाल्ने त्यो मकसदका साथ हामी काम गरिरहेका छौं र यसमा सिंगो राज्य नै लाग्नु पर्दछ र हामी सिंगो राज्यको सहयोग अपेक्षा गरेर नै हामी अगाडि गएका छौं र सम्मानित सदन दुवै सदन तल्लो सदन र माथिल्लो सदन अपर हाउस लोअर हाउसबाट पनि त्यही स्पिरिटमा चाहिँ हामीलाई सहयोग हुन्छ भन्ने आशा मैले गरेको छु।
Nepal's Minister for Land Management, Cooperatives, Federal Affairs and General Administration, Pratibha Rao, has expressed the view that it will not be easy to return the money of depositors unless the government is tough on the borrowers of financial cooperatives. Minister Rao said this while responding to questions raised by lawmakers on the proposal seeking consideration on the Cooperatives First Amendment Bill 2083 in today's meeting of the National Assembly. Minister Rao clarified that the law has been introduced through an ordinance to address the suffering of thousands of depositors.
हजारौं बचतकर्ता जसको चाहिँ बचत फिर्ता नभएर अहिले जुन पीडामा हुनुहुन्छ त्यो पीडालाई पनि चाँडो भन्दा चाँडो सम्बोधन गर्नुपर्ने अहिलेको आवश्यकता थियो। धेरै कुराहरू संशोधन गर्नुपर्ने छ यसमा, तर केही गाँठो फुकालेर जस्तो यो अध्यादेश आइसकेपछि चाहिँ साना बचतकर्ताको बचत फिर्ता हुन सुरुवात भएको छ हैन, धेरै थुप्रो कामहरू गर्नुपर्ने छ।
We'll go for a short break here. More news coming up. You're watching NTV World Primetime News. Welcome back. Nepal's Home Minister Sudan Gurung has said strengthening border security and upgrading police infrastructure are among the government's top priorities. Speaking to journalists at Biratnagar Airport during his visit to Eastern District of Morang to assess the security situation along the Nepal-India border, Minister Gurung said the government is preparing to rebuild and upgrade police office buildings across the country. He said he was aware of the poor condition of police infrastructure in several districts, adding that improving physical facilities is essential to making the police organization more effective. The Home Minister also said security agencies are actively working to further strengthen border security. Now, a total of 127 people have lost their lives in disaster-related incidents across Nepal between April 14 and July 4 this year. According to Shanti Mahat, spokesperson for the National Disaster Risk Reduction and Management Authority, 2,721 disaster-related incidents were recorded during the period, resulting in 127 deaths and 773 injuries. The authorities said that 3,722 families have been affected by the incidents. The authority also reported casualties from floods, landslides, heavy rainfall, boat capsizing, forest fires and avalanches. According to spokesperson Mahat, 31 disaster-related incidents were recorded across 27 districts in the past 24 hours alone, resulting in 1 death and 15 injuries. Moving on, wild elephant attacks in Nepal's eastern district of Chapa have escalated into one of Nepal's most persistent human-wildlife conflicts, with herds repeatedly entering settlements, destroying homes and crops, and threatening lives. In last few years, scores have been killed and injured in elephant attacks across the district, according to the Division Forest Office. The conflict peaks during the monsoon and crop harvesting seasons, when elephants are drawn from nearby forests to farmlands and household grain stores, where residents face recurring intrusions and growing safety concerns. Now, tourist arrivals at Bedcote Lake in Bedcote Municipality, Kanchanpur district have been steadily increasing in recent months. The rise is attributed to improved infrastructure and growing interest from both domestic and foreign visitors, including a notable number from India. Subeksha Rajak, along with local correspondent Ram Singh Thagunna, brings more.
Of tourists visiting Bedcote Lake, situated in Bedcote Municipality of Kanchanpur district in far west Nepal, has been steadily increasing. While the lake was previously visited mainly by a small number of domestic tourists, the number of foreign visitors has also grown in recent times, with Indian tourists making up a significant proportion. The visiting tourists say they found the lake more beautiful than they had heard.
हमने सुनना है यहाँ पे, हम देखे, हमने यहाँ आए और हमें काफ़ी अच्छा लगा यहाँ पे आके, और मतलब जैसा हमारा एक टूरिस्ट प्लेस जैसा हमें यहाँ पे फील आया, मतलब एकदम ऐसा फील आया हमें.
The increase in tourist arrivals has been attributed to the construction of a new temple in the lake area, improvements to the road network, the development of a view tower, and the construction of a circumambulation trail around the lake by Bedcote Municipality. Visitors also come to the lake to enjoy its natural beauty, including the fish, crocodiles, ducks, and the picturesque reflection of Lipna Hill on the lake.
ठन्डा हावापानी हेर्नुस् यहाँको यो वातावरण यस्तो यहाँ जंगल पनि यस्तो छ यो पानी यो तलाउ यो ठाउँमा अहिले पनि यो बर्सात पनि सुरु भएको छैन अहिले पनि कहिल्यै नसुक्ने यो ताल यहाँको पानीको मूल हेर्नुस् यहाँ हैन यहाँ अब माछाहरू research गरे पनि हुन्छ.
Bedcote Municipality Mayor Bhojaj Bohra stated the lake possesses both outstanding natural beauty and religious significance.
त्यो मनोरम प्राकृतिक तालको तालसँगै बैजनाथको उत्पत्तिको गाथा छ त्यसमा जोडिएको. अब त्यसलाई प्राकृतिक रूपमै रन्दिने कि अथवा त्यसलाई के भौतिक त्यसमा चाहिँ सृजनाहरू गर्ने भन्ने बारेमा दुईटा खाले द्वन्द्वहरू जहिले पनि रहिरहेका छ.
Adding that the municipality is committed to developing the necessary infrastructure to promote the site. The municipality is carrying out construction activities in accordance with the detailed project report DPR to make it easily accessible and add amenities in the vicinity. Locals say in required physical infrastructures are put in place, the area could generate income as well as create more employment opportunities. Local have urged the provincial government to prioritize its promotion.
पहिला आउँदाखेरि हामीले धेरै दुःख पाएको थियो बाटो आउँदाखेरि पनि बाटो राम्रो थिएन अहिले पिच भएको छ कम्तिमा पनि बाटो आउनलाई अलि सहज छ तर पनि जति हुनुपर्ने हो त्यति चाहिँ छैन
तालहरुलाई मन्दिरहरुलाई एकदम राम्रो भविष्य गरेर राम्रो सुसाफ गरेर अनि राम्रो अझै बनाउने अझै केही गरेको छ केही पनि अझ गर्न चाहन भन्ने पनि हाम्रो देवना छ.
The popularity of Chorpani, a well-known picnic spot located just below Bedcote Lake, has also contributed to the comparatively higher number of tourists visiting the area.
International news coming up next. For now, a short breather. Iran has begun several days of public mourning and funeral processions for its former supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, more than 4 months after he was killed in strikes launched by the US and Israel. The former Ayatollah's body is currently lying in state at Tehran's Grand Mosalla ahead of his burial in his hometown of Mashhad next Thursday. Iranian authorities said 12 to 20 million people were expected to attend the ceremonies, which are part of what they calling the funeral of the century. It comes as Iran and the US observe a fragile ceasefire after signing a preliminary deal to halt their conflict in which Khamenei was killed in an airstrike. Meanwhile, Iran's main military command, Khatam al-Anbiya Central Headquarters, has warned that any U.S. interference in the Strait of Hormuz will be met with the Iranian armed forces' decisive and swift response. In a statement carried by Iranian media, the headquarters stressed that the strait is not the aggressive U.S. playground, but the territory of Iran's undisputed sovereignty, with its security and stability considered a red line for the Iranian military. The headquarters said that Iran considers any U.S. attempt to interfere in security affairs or cause disruption in the Strait of Hormuz as a threat against its national security and will respond to it swiftly and decisively. It emphasized that the continued presence of U.S. manned and unmanned fighter aircraft overall with waterway will cause insecurity, adding that Iran will not hesitate to take the necessary actions to crush any aggression by the U.S. forces and their supporters to protect its sovereignty over the strait. Iran has tightened its grip on the strait since February 28, 2026, when it barred safe passage of vessels belonging to or affiliated with Israel and the United States following the joint strikes on Iranian territory. Moving on, Russia said it has captured the eastern Ukrainian city of Kostiantynivka, a key gateway to the last major Donbas cities still under Kyiv's control. Kremlin spokesperson Dmitry Peskov said the city, which had about 78,000 residents before the war, is now entirely under Russian control. President Vladimir Putin called the capture of major strategic importance and thanked Russian troops in a televised address with his general staff. Meanwhile, the Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant lost its off-site power supply Friday for the 21st time since the Ukraine crisis began, according to the International Atomic Energy Agency. IAEA officials at the site said military activity triggered electrical protection systems along the line, while emergency diesel generators automatically started to keep reactor cooling systems and other safety functions running. Now, Typhoon Maisak, the 10th typhoon of the year, made landfall on the coast of China's southern Hainan province, bringing torrential rains that flooded multiple roads in the coastal city of Sanya and prompted a series of overnight rescue operations. Chinese authorities reported widespread disruption in low-lying areas as heavy rainfall continued to lash parts of Hainan, with emergency teams deployed to assist affected residents and managed localized flooding. Meanwhile, in the West and North Pacific, Super Typhoon Bavi intensified into a Category 5 equivalent storm earlier today as it tracked towards the Mariana Islands, triggering warnings of potentially catastrophic conditions across Guam and nearby island territories. The U.S. National Weather Service, NWS, in Guam said Bavi is expected to pass near Rota before moving between Guam and Saipan early next week. Authorities in the region have urged residents to prepare for rapidly deteriorating conditions as the storm continues its approach, while meteorologists monitor its track for further intensification of shifts in direction. Now, the UN World Meteorological Organization has warned that strengthening El Niño conditions will fuel more extreme heat waves worldwide in the coming months, with strong El Niño expected to develop rapidly between July and September. WMO scientist Alvaro Silva said El Niño typically pushes global temperatures to record levels, and forecasters expect sea surfaces temperatures in the central and eastern Pacific to rise more than 2 degrees Celsius above normal. WMO also forecasts drier than average conditions across Central America, the Caribbean, the Americas, and parts of Southeast Asia, while East Africa could see wetter conditions and flooding during its rainy season. The WMO said it is mobilizing member states and regional climate centers to help governments prepare, warning that the window to act is narrowing in some regions. More international news and sports update coming up next. For now, a short breather. On the eve of the United States' 250th Independence Day, U.S. President Donald Trump accused domestic radicals and extremists of threatening the country's identity, escalating his criticism of political opponents. Speaking at an event at Mount Rushmore ahead of the national celebrations, Trump said the United States was under attack from within.
Yet as we approach this magnificent anniversary, we see our American identity under a renewed attack. A generation after we fought and won the Cold War against the menace of communism, there is now a resurgence of the communist menace in our land, including from newcomers to our country who embrace ideas totally opposed to our way of life and our great success.
In other news, German police have deployed a large security operation in the eastern city of Erfurt ahead of the far-right Alternative for Germany, AfD, Federal Party Congress this weekend. Tens of thousands of protesters are expected to rally against the gathering, with several alliances planning demonstrations, colorful events and blockades aimed at preventing delegates from reaching the venue. Authorities estimate up to 50,000 demonstrators could take part, including around 2,500 who may be prepared for violence, prompting heightened security across the city. Critics accuse the AfD party of promoting extremist anti-immigration policies and have renewed calls for it to be banned, while the AfD rejects the allegations and describes itself as a conservative alternative. Now, hornbill chicks were recently filmed leaving their nest in Yingjiang County, southwest China's Yunnan province, offering a rare glimpse of the breeding season of a first-class state-protected species. Hornbills, listed as a first-class state-protected species in China, breed from March to June, with chicks beginning to leave the nests by July. In the footage, a young great hornbill repeatedly poked its head out of the nest opening, looking around with curiosity as its parents encouraged it from outside. Other footage show an oriental pied hornbill chick following its parents as they left the nest. During the breeding season, female hornbills remain sealed inside tree cavities to incubate eggs and raise chicks, while males feed both the female and the young. From late June to early July, the chicks begin to leave the nest one after another. China is home to 5 hornbill species, all classified as first-class state-protected wildlife. Time for sports update. Morocco is facing co-host Canada, while France are set to take on Paraguay in the round of 16 of the FIFA World Cup 2026, setting up 2 high-profile knockout clashes as the tournament enters its elimination phase. Morocco, one of the standout teams of the competition so far, advanced to face Canada in a match expected to test their defensive discipline against a fast-improving Canadian side. The match will kick off at 10:45 p.m. Nepal Standard Time. Former champion France is meeting Paraguay in the other fixture, with the French squad entering the knockout stage as one of the tournament favorites following a strong group stage performance. The match will begin at 2:45 a.m. Nepal Standard Time. Earlier in last round of 32 clashes, defending champions Argentina survived a stunning challenge from Cape Verde, edging the African minions to 3-2 after extra time to secure a place in round of 16. Similarly, Egypt defeated Australia on penalties to claim its first ever win in the World Cup knockout stage. And before we wrap up, here's a reminder of our top stories once again. Nepal government unveils its 100-day achievements, reports 87% progress in 100-point reform agenda implementation. Nepal's National Assembly approves 4 bills received from House of Representatives. Finance Minister says government committed to removing Nepal from FATF grey list. 127 killed across Nepal in disaster-related incidents since mid-April. 3,700 households affected by various disasters. Iran begins public mourning for Ayatollah killed in February. Such comes as Iran and US observe fragile ceasefire to halt conflict. Super Typhoon Bavi strengthens as Guam and Northern Mariana Islands brace for possible impacts. Typhoon Maysak hits China. And World Cup knockout stage kicks off from today with Canada set to face Morocco, France to meet Paraguay in other match. That is all for the moment. Our next bulletin will be at 2200 hours Nepal time. Do join us through our social media and get the latest updates from our official website, nepaltelevision.com. Thank you for staying with us. Have a wonderful evening ahead.
This is The World This Week, your weekly roundup of the latest international events and updates. I am Bhavana Casey, and in this edition we bring you this week's top headlines, from escalating geopolitical tensions, major diplomatic developments, to global security, climate extremes, science, culture, and extraordinary events from around the world. We have all that you need. Let's begin with the latest developments in US-Iran tensions. Iran has postponed its next round of talks with the United States until the funeral of former Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei, while issuing fresh warnings to Washington and tightening its security position in the Strait of Hormuz. Iran has hardened its stance towards the United States and Israel while signaling that diplomatic contacts with Washington would resume only after the funeral of former Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, as the country is preparing for the mass mourning ceremonies and has tightened its posture in the strategically vital Strait of Hormuz. Foreign Ministry's spokesperson Ismail Baghai accused the United States of having constantly demonstrated its complete contempt for genuine peace and security in the Middle East, urging regional countries to draw clear lessons from the recent US-Israel war on Iran. Iranian officials said more than 20 million people are expected to attend funeral ceremonies for Khamenei, who was killed at the outset of the conflict. The ceremonies that will begin on Saturday in Tehran will conclude on July the 9th with his burial in his hometown of Mashhad. In a further sign of heightened security, Iran's state broadcaster aired a statement from the country's military command warning that all vessels transiting the Strait of Hormuz must follow the routes designated by the Iranian armed forces or face a forceful response. Meanwhile, Pakistan said diplomatic efforts to implement the Memorandum of Understanding between Tehran and Washington aimed at ending the Middle East war are advancing.
Pakistan has stepped up its diplomatic engagement with key regional and international stakeholders, as well as the principal interlocutors, to facilitate earnest follow-up and implementation of the Islamabad MOU between Iran and United States, in line with the joint statement between Pakistan and Qatar issued at Bergenstock on 21st of June.
Foreign Ministry's spokesperson Tahir Hussein Andrabi further said that positive progress has been made and the next round of talks would be scheduled at the earliest possible time following the funeral procession of the former Iranian supreme leader.
I would like to highlight 3 specific points. One, about these Doha talks. One, there was positive progress made on issues related to the different aspects of the Islamabad MOU building on the Lake Lucerne summit. 2, parties agreed to continue discussion over the coming period. And 3, next meeting to be set at the earliest possible time following the funeral procession and of the former Iranian supreme leader.
The developments leave diplomacy in a holding pattern, with officials indicating that the next round of talks will follow the conclusion of the funeral ceremonies. Russia has launched its largest aerial assault on Kiev since the war began, killing at least 30 people and injuring dozens more in a massive overnight barrage of drones and missiles. Russian forces launched a major drone and missile attack on Kiev overnight, killing at least 30 people in what the city's mayor described as the most massive attack on the Ukrainian capital. 91 people have been left injured. Although previous attacks have killed more people, this latest barrage deployed the largest number of weapons on the capital and hit locations over a wider area. Several neighborhoods were evacuated as strikes hit the city hours after Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky warned Russia is preparing for an attack. Kremlin spokesperson Dmitry Peskov told reporters that Russia would continue to increase pressure on the Kiev regime in order to achieve their set goals. Ukraine accused Moscow of targeting civilian areas and said it would be wrong to equate the actions of the aggressor and a country defending itself. Residents of Kiev who have lived through 4.5 years of war say they have perceived a change in the pattern of Russia's assaults on the capital over the last 2 months. Britain is set for its biggest defense overhaul in decades, with Prime Minister Starmer unveiling a multi-billion-dollar investment plan aimed at strengthening the country's armed forces against growing global threats. UK's Prime Minister Keir Starmer had said Britain will spend almost $379 billion over the next 4 years to modernize its armed forces amid rising threats. Starmer, expected to leave office next month after losing the support of Labour MPs, announced the increase in defence spending at the launch of his long-awaited 10-year defence investment plan.
We must stand more firmly on our own 2 feet. We must do what it takes to meet this new world head-on, to keep our country safe and seize the opportunities that come from investing in our sovereign strength. That is what we're doing. That's why we have reversed at last the corrosive hollowing out of our armed forces. And it's why we're transforming a defence programme that, frankly, for too long has been underfunded and unsuited to the threats that we face.
Ahead of Prime Minister Keir Starmer's defence investment plan announcement, Defence Minister Dan Jarvis unveiled what he described as UK's biggest ever investment in drone warfare. He said the investment forms part of a broader strategy to strengthen the UK's armed forces and modernise military capabilities in response to evolving security threats.
This plan recognises the hard truth that the conflict in Ukraine completely upended the way of war. In response, today, we're committing the UK's biggest ever investment in drone warfare. More money for hybrid Royal Navy, more money to increase the British Army's lethality, and more money for the next generation Royal Air Force. This plan reflects both the realities of future warfare and the principles that have kept us safe for generations.
The announcements come as the UK government prepares to set out its long-term roadmap for defence spending, military restructuring and weapons development under the 10-year plan. The United Nations has warned that conflict, economic instability and rapidly evolving technologies are creating new opportunities for terrorism as all leaders gathered for Counter-Terrorism Week in New York. UN Secretary-General Antonio Guterres told the General Assembly that global instability, economic hardship and the misuse of the emerging technologies are creating fertile ground for terrorism as the UN opened its 2026 Counter-Terrorism Week. Guterres said sustainable development and human rights are central to the prevention efforts.
We meet at a moment of acute instability, Conflicts are triggering energy shocks, inflation and anger across the globe. Temperatures are rising, millions are displaced, and millions more face economic hardship. These conditions of want, of fragility, of mistrust are ideal circumstances for terror to thrive. Excellencies, this is why advancing sustainable development and upholding human rights are vital to counter terrorism. In practice, this means expanding economic opportunity, ensuring greater inclusion for minorities, enabling the meaningful participation of women and youth, supporting local peace-building efforts, and protecting civic space. A more equal world is a safer world. That is the power of prevention.
He pointed to victims' testimony and private sector cooperation as key tools in countering extremist narratives. Guterres also said terrorism is evolving and the international community must adapt accordingly, calling for prevention, cooperation, and a steadfast commitment to human rights to build a world where people can live free from fear.
Victims share powerful testimonies that challenge terrorist narratives, and the private sector plays a crucial role in sharing insight and securing the technologies terrorists seek to exploit. Our allies are found across society, and by working together, we enhance our reach and our legitimacy.
Guterres delivered the opening remarks at the 4th United Nations High-Level Conference of Heads of Counter-Terrorism Agencies of Member States held on 29 to 30 June. More than 2,000 excess deaths have been recorded in Spain and France due to extreme heat, with forecasters warning another heat wave could send temperatures soaring up to 44 degrees Celsius in the coming days across the parts of Europe. More than 2,000 excess deaths have been recorded in Spain and France as prolonged extreme heat continues to affect large parts of southern Europe. Health officials say the deaths are linked to a series of intense heat episodes that push temperatures well above seasonal averages during the month of June. Met agencies warn that the region is now facing another developing heat wave. Spain's State Weather Service says a mass of dry hot air is moving across the Iberian Peninsula, with temperatures expected to rise sharply from the weekend. In some southern and eastern areas, up to 44 degrees Celsius are forecast in the coming days. Officials have issued heat alerts and warned that the older people and those with underlying health conditions are at most risk. Officials say the conditions are increasing the risk of wildfires as dry landscapes combine with extreme temperatures. The latest forecast suggests the heat wave could intensify further before any relief later next week. Scientists in Turkey are turning to zebrafish to accelerate the search for treatment for major human diseases using the tiny freshwater species to test the promising new medicines. Researchers at Turkey's Agri Ibrahim Ceyhan University are using zebrafish to accelerate the study of human diseases and evaluate potential new drug treatments. Scientists say the small freshwater fish share about 70% of their genes with humans and can model more than 80% of known human diseases, making them a key tool in biomedical research. At the university's Aquatic Organisms Lab, researchers exposed zebrafish embryos to experimental pharmaceutical compounds for 96 hours before examining them under a microscope for signs of tissue damage and toxic effects. The results are used to assess the safety and potential effectiveness of new drug candidates, supporting research into conditions including epilepsy, Parkinson's disease, Alzheimer's disease, hypertension, and metabolic disorders. Researchers say the work would help streamline early-stage drug development while reducing reliance on traditional animal testing. Turkmenistan is taking cautious steps to open itself to the international tourism, signaling a gradual shift away from decades of isolation. From the ancient archaeological site of Nisha to the marble-clad capital of Ashgabat, Turkmenistan is cautiously opening its doors to international tourism after decades of tight restrictions and relative isolation. Officials have announced plans this year to expand the country's tourism sector, signaling a gradual shift aimed at attracting more foreign visitors and showcasing both its cultural heritage and modern architectural landscape. The opening comes as the government seeks to diversify its economy beyond energy exports, though tourism remains highly regulated with limited access and controlled travel routes still in place for most visitors. There is also growing curiosity among international travelers about one of Central Asia's most closed-off countries. Officials say the expansion will be gradual and carefully managed, balancing increased openness with continued oversight of foreign tourism activity. The improved access is expected to help reshape global perceptions of Turkmenistan, long known for its policies linked to isolation. However, the success of the initiative will depend on how far authorities are willing to ease long-standing restrictions on foreign visitors. A new artificial intelligence-powered museum has opened in Los Angeles, offering visitors an immersive experience where digital artworks respond in real time to the human emotions.
A large-scale artificial intelligence art museum, Dataland, has opened in Los Angeles, marking one of the most technologically ambitious entries yet in the rapidly expanding field of AI-driven cultural institutions. The project has been developed by Turkish media artist Refik Anadol, who describes the museum as a hybrid space combining architectural design, machine learning systems, and real-time biometric interaction. According to project details, the installation environment is powered by an estimated 10 million lines of code and a visual infrastructure capable of rendering up to 1.5 billion pixels across interconnected displays. The system is designed to continuously generate and modify imagery using AI models trained on large-scale datasets of visual, culture, nature, and archival material. It also features immersive galleries where sensors embedded into walls and spatial systems respond to visitor movement and environmental inputs. Visitors were also given wearable bracelets that track physiological signals such as heart rate and other biometric indicators. These inputs are intended to influence the behavior of the AI-generated artworks in real time, effectively allowing the installations to react to audience emotion, states, and collective presence within the space.
A rare demonstration of China's centuries-old bull wrestling tradition is drawing attention to growing concerns that the cultural practice could disappear without greater support.
An Eastern China amphitheater hosted a rare public demonstration of Guanyu, a centuries-old form of bull wrestling, as concerns grow over the sport's long-term survival amid limited funding and declining participation. In a recent competition, wrestler Swang engaged a bull in a controlled grappling match, using shoulder leverage and horn control techniques to force the animal into a kneeling position. The bout took place on compacted earth inside a partially covered venue, where conditions remain basic and largely unchanged from earlier regional events. It is believed to have dated back more than 600 years and is participated only sporadically in a handful of communities. Despite its historical roots, it has little institutional support and minimal public visibility within China. Participants are typically students or part-time trainees who enter competitions intermittently. Organizers say the lack of sponsorship, formal training infrastructure, and media coverage has made it difficult for practitioners to pursue the discipline professionally. Spectator turnout remains modest, and engagement during events is limited, with many attendees treating the matches as cultural demonstration rather than competitive sport.
Thousands of festival goers have turned the streets of Spain's wine capital crimson, celebrating the country's famous wine battle in Haro.
Thousands of revelers armed with buckets, spray bottles, and water pistols drenched on another with wine during the annual wine battle in Haro, northern Spain, as one of the country's most distinctive festivals transformed the streets into a sea of crimson. Many dressed in white clothing that quickly turned deep purple as thousands of liters of red wine were sprayed, splashed, and poured over the crowds. The celebration, known locally as the Wine Battle, is one of Spain's oldest and most recognizable traditions. Participants gather each year carrying anything that can launch wine, from plastic buckets and watering cans to water pistols and backpack sprayers, before engaging in a spirited free-for-all that lasts for hours. The festival combines centuries-old customs with modern-day tourism, attracting thousands of spectators and participants eager to experience the unique celebrations in the heart of Spain's leading wine region. Once the battle subsides, revelers continue the festivities with music, dancing, and celebrations throughout Aro. Despite the chaotic scenes, the event is carefully organized each year and remains a major attraction on Spain's summer festival calendar, celebrating the region's rich winemaking heritage.
More than 4,500 athletes from around the world gathered in Hong Kong as the city marked the 50th anniversary of its International Dragon Boat Championship. The 2026 Hong Kong International Dragon Boat Championship has been held, bringing together 4,500 athletes from over 16 countries to the waterfront for the opening races. The event marks the 50th anniversary of the championship, with over 220 teams competing in 500-meter races using standard 20-meter dragon boats. Athletes from around the world describe the competition as both a test of skill and a chance to build team confidence as crowds gathered along the harbor to watch the action. Organizers also revived the Fisherman Invitational Cup, featuring 6 local teams racing traditional wooden boats as part of the anniversary celebrations, with the festival continuing over the weekend. The festival highlights Hong Kong's role as a major international hub for dragon boat racing and cultural tourism. Thousands marched through the streets of Mexico City for the annual Pride Parade, celebrating diversity while renewing calls for greater equality and protections for the LGBTQ+ communities. Thousands of people filled the streets of Mexico City for the annual Pride Parade, a large-scale demonstration marking LGBTQ+ visibility while also highlighting ongoing demands for legal equality and protection against discrimination. The march brought together activists, community organizations, families, and allies who moved through major central avenues carrying rainbow flags, banners, and signs calling for expanded rights for transgender and non-binary people, stronger anti-discrimination enforcement, and improved access to healthcare and legal recognition. Organizers said this year's mobilization placed particular emphasis on the experiences of transgender and non-binary communities who continue to face disproportionate levels of violence, exclusion, and institutional barriers in Mexico and across the region. Many participants also used the event to demand greater family acceptance and social inclusion, stressing the importance of support systems in reducing stigma and mental health challenges. Officials deployed security personnel along the route to manage traffic and ensure the crowd's safety, while city officials acknowledged the event as one of the largest public demonstrations in the capital, drawing participants from Mexico and abroad. Despite the festive atmosphere, many attendees said the march remains both a celebration and a political statement, reflecting ongoing struggles for equality and recognition in everyday life. Indonesia's renowned Bali Arts Festival has opened with a spectacular cultural parade showcasing centuries-old traditions and contemporary performance arts of the region.
In Indonesian island of Bali held its 40th Bali Arts Festival 2026 with a large-scale cultural parade in Denpasar that drew attention for its scale, symbolism and presentation of traditional Balinese performing art. The opening procession, known locally as Beat Ayah, featured around 700 participants from the Denpasar delegation, including dancers, musicians, students, youth groups, and community representatives. The parade formed part of the opening ceremony at Monument Bajra Sandhi, a landmark monument in Denpasar. The performance showcased a wide range of Balinese cultural expressions and designed to highlight both ritual heritage and staged artistic traditions that remain central to Bali's cultural identity. The other segment blended sacred ritual aesthetics with contemporary artistic staging, drawing strong audience engagement during the open ceremony. Festival organizers said the theme of this year's edition emphasized spiritual purification and inner awareness, reflecting a broader philosophy of harmony between thought, action, and cultural expression. Organizers added that the performance was structured into 3 thematic segments, focusing on unity in diversity, preservation of sacred local traditions, and positioning the festival as both a cultural showcase and a platform for living heritage.
Innovation and progress.
And that's all for this edition of The World this week. Thank you for joining us, and we hope you enjoyed as much as we did bringing it to you. We look forward to bringing you more of the stories shaping the world next week. You can also visit our website at www.nepaltelevision.com and follow us on our social media platforms and YouTube channel. I'm Bhavna Casey. Until next time, take care and goodbye.
Heaven above and angels below. This is the essence of Ruby Valley. Nestled in the northern part of Nepal's Dhading district, Ruby Valley is a hidden jewel surrounded on all sides by majestic mountain ranges. The landscape here is a feast for the eyes. White rhododendron blossoms paint the hillsides and sprawling rice fields shimmer under the sunlight. At about 300 kilometers from Kathmandu, the valley is a serene retreat, rich in culture, tradition, and natural beauty. Reaching Ruby Valley involves a remarkable trek that starts with a scenic journey from Kathmandu through Nuwakot and Rasuwa, winding towards the base of Ganesh Himal, the towering peak that watches over this land. The trek leads through dense pine and oak forests, terraced farmlands, and vibrant local villages like Tipling, home to the Tamang community. These people live in harmony with nature, cultivating crops and raising livestock while keeping their rich traditions alive, welcoming visitors with warm hospitality and cultural performances. The striking Pangsang Pass at 3,800 meters marks a stunning milestone on the route, offering panoramic views of the green-clad hills and distant Himalayan ranges. Below, forests of tall sal trees stand as silent guardians. As travelers traverse this landscape, they witness local women harvesting crops, hear the heartfelt songs sung by villagers in the fields, and feel the essence of a life deeply connected to the land. The daily sight of Ganesh Himal inspires awe and a sense of peace that visitors carry with them. Ruby Valley lies in the heart of the Himalayas, surrounded by some of Nepal's most famous mountain ranges, Manaslu, Annapurna, Langtang and Ganesh Himal itself. This geographic embrace creates breathtaking scenery at every turn. Here, caravans and mule trains add a touch of timeless charm to the trekking experience, enhancing the rustic beauty of this remote land. The village of Chalis, nestled in the lap of Ganesh Himal, is a cultural crossroads for the Gurung community. Visitors witness their unique traditions, hear their folk songs by evening fires, and enjoy their vibrant dances, which invite travelers to connect on a deeper level. The journey continues beyond the villages to sacred sites like Tatopani Kunda, where natural hot springs offer spiritual purification and healing waters believed to renew body and soul. From there, hikers embark on a challenging yet rewarding trek to the holy Ganesh Kunda, a glacial pond named after Lord Ganesh. This pristine water body mirrors the majestic peaks around it, creating an ethereal panorama that captivates all those who visit. With peaks ascending over 7,400 meters, Ganesh Himal stands as a guardian of this sacred valley. Ruby Valley is more than a destination. It is an invitation to experience Nepal's untouched nature, vibrant cultures, and spiritual heritage all in one journey. For those seeking a unique adventure off the beaten path, Ruby Valley offers an unparalleled blend of breathtaking landscapes, warm hospitality, and rich traditions that make it one of Nepal's top destinations for international and domestic travelers.
This is where art meets thought. Stories we watch and stories that watch us back. Stories that linger not just in the mind, but in that quiet, unspoken space of being human. Welcome to Creative Forum, where art is experienced, not just discussed. I'm Shivani Thapa Bosniak, and from the crossroads of Kathmandu, we're joined in by two extraordinary voices. One from Iran and the other guest from China. Civilizations that have 4 centuries now shaped the way humanity tells its stories. From the poetic soul of Persian traditions to the philosophical depth of Chinese thought, these are cultures where storytelling was never merely expression, but reflection, memory, and of course meaning. Professor Sun Zhan, Chinese media scholar exploring global storytelling, and our other guest, Mojtaba Bahadori, an Iranian filmmaker who travels the world finding humanity in the quietest moments of life. Both are in town as jury members of the Nepal International Film Festival 2026. Welcome to Kathmandu to both of you.
Hello to everyone. Hello to Nepal, to Nepalese people, to this wonderful, colorful, amazing culture that I'm very, very happy to be here and very excited actually. I had a chance to go out last days and I was so impressed by everything. People, they are praying in the street, they are moving around, full of the handicraft, full of people, full of movement. It's like a cinema. It's like a total cinema. Very happy to be here.
Nepali people give me, including the smile, the delicious food, and the very lovely students and the friends here.
Just to get started, I'm so curious to know, because both of you travel the world with the great work that you do and the great work that you carry around. Mojtaba, let me turn to you. Why did you pick storytelling?
Storytelling, I think, is a part of our culture as Iranian. So poetry and storytelling is a part of Iranian culture, and we're born with that. I feel like all the Iranians, they're born to be a poet or read poetry and tell a story through their poetry. In the opening of the festival, there was a director of Sholay. You remember?
Ramesh Sippy, right?
Yes. I was so surprised because I remember I was a child in Shiraz. I born in Shiraz. I grew up in the south of Iran. And it was forbidden to watch foreign films, as it still is a lot of things forbidden in Iran. So people, they would hide video VHS around in a city, and we found a video VHS of the Sholay. It was one of the first films I watched in my life. I never will forget the scene of the Sardevi.
Hema Malini.
Yeah, the lady, she's dancing on
the Basanti girl, right?
Yeah, in broken glasses, yeah?
Yes.
It was so impressive how she can do that. Only in cinema you can have those scenes that people, they dance on broken glasses. Yeah, I think the story started by watching films in a very early age. Forbidden films, like anything is not Iranian or is not about Islamic culture, yeah? Which actually they structured our character. When I was a teenager, my father bought me a VHS camera, and I started to film things around of myself. I had only one video cassette, so I would film over and over that cassette. You remember, we could put it back or turn it back, and then
the cassette tape.
Yeah,
right,
cassette
right.
tape. Yeah, so I will film one thing, and then I would watch it several times, and then I didn't have any other film, so I would film it again on top of that. That started by that and theater. I started to write theater piece when I was 13. Always very, very influenced by things around of me, especially in the Persian culture.
Really amusing to know that your childhood or maybe your growing years was so much similar to that of us here in this side of the world, right? Pretty much amazing. How about China, Professor Shun? Why communications? Why did you even choose to come to this field?
I found, because China is a very large country, there are a lot of people living different places. 30 years ago, at that time, not everybody can speak in Mandarin, even at that time. And we have a lot of mineral races there. But now the things has been changing better and better day by day. And after I got my PhD, I became a lecturer, associate professor, and a professor in my university. I am the head of the Department of Journalism and Mass Communication, University of Electronic Science and Technology of China. And I love mass communication because I got a PhD for mass communication, and later I choose my research about social media and online media, because my university focuses on high-tech knowledge and the computer science, AI tech knowledge as well. We have a lot of cooperation between different mayors, and I'm so interested in cross-cultural communication. When I came to Nepal 10 years ago, I was addicted by this country, by Nepali people. I love this country very much. So that's the starting point of my research about cross-culture communication. And I do appreciate everything.
It's so beautiful to see how Professor Jan enjoys Nepal, right? So both of you are here for NEF, and the one common thing that I really am curious about is you both come from civilizations where storytelling is ancient, it's layered, and it's deeply philosophical, right? And I wonder, when you engage with cinema today or filmmaking today, do you feel you are creating something new, or you're continuing something that has always existed in your cultures?
I think originality is not very important in a storytelling. Your story shouldn't be original, it should be truth. It should be deep and should be personal. So I don't want to tell original stories. I don't try for that. I try to say truth, or to say the stories that is close to my heart, you know. So I think in the end we are repeating the same story of the human being, yeah? But just we have different approach because we have different experience, or we experience the life differently.
Yes.
And like talking about love, you know, so many poetry about love, but they're all different because they have different approach to love. You know, they see the love in different things, or they try to explore it differently in each of them. I think the storytelling in a film also is the same. Actually, in a jury, as a jury, we have a section that we have to say how original is the film. And this is one of the sections I like the less because that's not really important to me. But for me, is what is the impact of the film? You know, this is a part of the jury judge that verdict that I give more importance to it. What was the impact of that film on me as an audience, as a person just was watching it, and also about that, you know, the technical part is very important sometimes to make things impactful, like the sounds, the image, but still is less important than the subject and how we approach the subject. What we are telling, what was the story that we want to tell to our audience. So yeah, I think originality is not very important for me. But being true, yes.
Do you see films as an extension of that, a Persian artistic tradition where meaning is, often found when it is left unsaid? I mean, does your work more focus on the silences between the words and the sounds?
This is what we say in music. A note doesn't have a sense if there is no silence between notes. If you put two notes without silence in a continuity, it's like. But if you do it, there's a silence. So the music burns through the silence. I think the story also burns after the silence is established in a story. So we have this culture of the silence in Iranian cinema, like big names that many people they know, and I see also kind of Nepalese young filmmakers. They are quite familiar to the Iranian cinema. We have a lot of silence in Iranian cinema because we need that to reflect about what we hear. You know, we hear a sentence, then we have to listen to that inside of us also. So yeah, like my last film that it got the Everest Award here in NIF last year is full of silence because it's a story of a person who questions if the nature creates so perfectly in its imperfection, me as an artist, what I can create that is better than nature. Why we are creating actually? So the answer is because we need to make sense for our life. Yeah. So I see the storytelling and artistic practice as a need for making sense to our life and also presenting a sense to other people, a proposal to other people. Okay, we can see the life in this way also.
From what I understand, you were born and raised in Iran,
yes.
And then later you shifted base to France, where much of your career has really, expanded and extended. So how has France changed you as a filmmaker?
I think France didn't change me, but what it changed me is the people that they listen to your story. And these people, maybe you can find them in China, in Nepal, in France. So I think I was lucky to be surrounded by people that they are interested in a story that I want to tell. And of course, I'm still very, very attached to the Iranian storytelling, Still, like in my film on melting snow, the main story comes from the poetry of the Rumi. So if we are cut from the origin, what will happen to us? Yeah, we will always go back to the origin, especially when we grow. We say, okay, I have to look back who I am. Yeah? The idea of who I am comes from the poetry of the Persian poetry of the Rumi. But then I shoot it in Iceland, partly in Belgium, and partly in North Africa, because I was looking for a very minimalist landscape. So I went to find those landscapes in different places in the world, from the Atlantic, from the north, to the south of planet. I would say French culture and cinema is very open to new voices. It's very generous in listening. And I'm very lucky, I think, to be able to be part of that culture for such a long time. Yeah.
Chinese philosophy also has explored, long explored,
Yes.
ideas of balance, harmony, and of course, relationship between individuals and the collective, right? So how do these deeper cultural ideas there shape the ways stories are told?
China has long story in this world, and we have a bunch of philosophers of different sides, and it's related to our mind, to our heart, and to the relations between the families or with the others. And it is very important to keep our mind calm and peaceful. So that's why Chinese people always think balance is the most important thing in our life. And you're right, we think independent is related to your freedom as well. So we are so independent in this world, and we treat the others peacefully. That's why if you can understand that, so you can understand Chinese.
Mostaba, when we speak of Iranian cinema or films, right, it's almost impossible not to think of certain stillness, a certain honesty, right, a way of seeing that both feels so simple and at the same time profoundly layered. And in many ways, that language has certainly been shaped by masters like Abbas Kiarostami, whose classes you are so privileged to have attended. And I'm really curious, besides what he taught you about cinema, what has changed in you in a way that you see the world under his guidance?
I remember the first time I had chance to listen to him directly. He just came back from Africa, and where he made ABC Africa. It was just the beginning of the digital camera, and there was a handycam. You remember the handycam with the small films, yeah? So he asked his producer that is it possible to go to Africa to just see the location, to find the location where I can shoot my film. And they said okay. So he went there with the two other person, and they started to film kids in an abandoned school, like in a school for kids. And the kids, they was interacting with the camera, those very teenagers. He went back and he decided to make the film just with the rush that he filmed with his handycam. So no need to take a big camera or whatever. He told us something. He said, if you have a story to tell, don't wait for big cameras, for equipment and those kind of things. Just do it. If you have something to tell, just do it. Why you're waiting? What makes you wait so long, And this is what I saw also in the Nepalese film. I watched, I think, over 30 Nepalese film in a section that I was part of it. And I see there is a lot of courageous film that they are telling their story with, the minimum technical equipments, and that makes me so happy, because you can keep it as an idea and wait for the perfect situation, and sometimes never happens. But you can also take a little camera with your friends and just film your grandmother, I don't know, your sister, the people in your village, and tell the story that is important to you. So I'm very happy to see that in a Nepalese film, really. I'm very impressed by that. And also, I think, for me, the first thing I learned from Abbas Kiarostami is like, just do it. Don't wait for the perfect situation, because sometimes never you will have it. Just do it.
Thoughts of a true creator, I believe.
Yeah.
Right? And even in your work, we can see a lot of simplicity of the similar kind, inspired maybe by Abbas Kiarostami. So is minimalism for you, Oshaba, an aesthetic choice, or is it a philosophical one?
I think if you want to emphasize one subject, you need to decide what you don't want to talk about it, right? It's like in a conversation, yeah? If I want to talk about the human condition in a certain place, why I have to talk about the things that is not connected to the human condition? So I think in the end, for being more precise, you need to be minimalist. You need to choose in the end. And, I think in the end, for having clear mind also, you need to, what we do in the meditation, right? We try to just concentrate on our respiration, concentrate on the minimum that calls existence, right? I think the film for me also is the same. If I want to talk about the subject, I would like to make it just that, put it there, like a good chef cuisine, yeah? You put little things there, then when you eat it, you feel it, This is the idea.
Wow. I can listen to you like the entire day. It's interesting, right? This idea of saying more, with less, of trusting the audience, right?
Yes.
The minimalist approach in filmmaking, it's the purity with which that is portrayed is so beautiful to any aspirant or people who love real film and drama. Professor Zan, from your perspective as a media scholar, in today's very fast and very content-driven world, is there still space for this kind of quiet and very contemplative film?
Yes, and I think the house is quiet is a kind of power, because it's from our mind. I do agree. Mashtaba says the truth is the most important thing in this world, even including the films, the fiction films, both fiction films and documentary films. And this year, I bring Xizang Panorama to Nepal again, and this is a second Xizang Panorama. And And last year, I'm a jury and organizer. And this year, I am a director as well. And because we listened to our audiences here last year, I found I should present a new Xizang to our audiences. Tell the world what's the truth in Xizang, how developed it is now. Because Xizang is a modern society, it has a high-speed train, bullet trains there. It has a lot of high-speed road, highways there, and the environment is still very good. We protect our environment very well in Xizang. We protected the lakes, the mountains, and the animals there. There is a story about a slow leopard. It will screen this afternoon. That's about how we deal with the relationship between the protected environment and the people's financial right. Because a slow leopard will go to the local people's house, around the house. The slow leopard ate the sheep. How can we deal with that? Because according to our policy, we have the compensation. The people can get the money back from the government, but still the local people felt angry about the sheep's death, something like that. And from Nepal to China, we have the similar situation about the environment protection. And we also invited 9 young persons from 6 countries, from United States, Russia, Morocco, Italy, Cambodia, and Nepal. The 9 people visited Xizang this January, so we shoot a short documentary film about their visiting. They went to they experienced the new electronic cars, electronic vans. They have the test driving on the highway, and they also took the bullet train, and they went to the electricity power station and see all the development there. And they also experienced the bubble tea with other young generation, because in past times, Xizang people enjoy the butter tea with salt, but it's salty. But nowadays, more people like sweet butter tea, and some people also enjoy the sweet bubble tea. That's very interesting, because the people there are having a new and modern life right now, and the culture and the philosophy is not stopped by the history, and every day is new, and I think the tradition is also on the way day by day.
Mm-hmm. So you mean to say that despite all the high-speed content trend that is ongoing, still the real-life experience is real and it's more important?
Yes.
Right? And why did you, besides promotion, Professor San, why did you choose to come back with the Xizang panorama to Nepal?
Xizang panorama is very important because we releasing 6 films every year about Xizang. And Xizang is a border part between Nepal and China, and between the Himalaya regions and Himalaya mountains. We are really like the families and brothers. We are relatives and neighbors. That's very important for us to know each other. And there are some traditional and cultural aspects are the same between our Xizang culture and the Nepali culture. So we want to, approach the communication between the people in 2 countries.
Mm-hmm. Mustafa, the same question to you. How is the current trend of media, especially on the consumption side, where they're so fascinated into high speed and scandalized contents, affected you as a filmmaker, or has it even affected you?
Yeah, what Professor says is very, very right. The culture is not an object that doesn't move. It's something that constantly changes. and is a part of this, heritage. The heritage is made every day. And what I see also, go back to the Nepalese film, I see like there is this really nationalism and this strong interest and respect for Nepalese culture via like Nepalese filmmaker, but in the same time, in a lot of films they try to change things, like the habits that exist in the families, the old culture that is not good for, So I think they are making culture by respecting their own culture. This is a constant change. The culture is born every single day. Yeah. Yes. So I think also the speed, this fast culture is a part of the culture. Yeah. The things going fast, but back to minimalism, you have to choose what do you want. Yeah. So do you want to be constantly exposed by this fast world, or you decide to go with your own speed in the road that you choose to be in it, right? I'm like, it's very easy to be lost, to lose yourself, your mind in this fast world. I think it's necessary to have different type of cinema. I don't think one cinema is cinema and the rest is not cinema. Everything is cinema, every different style of the cinema. But some people, they like this one and some the other one, and it's fine, totally fine. Yeah, I think, that this very slow cinema is like a reading roman in old time, like a War and Peace of Tolstoy. It's like I tried to read it like maybe 20 times in my life. Always I went until the half, I didn't finish it, So it's the time that, there was in North Russia, it was cold and there was no internet, you couldn't go out. There was snow until here behind of your door. You could read books like this, but today it's more difficult to read books like 5 Overture. So I think by your situation you have to choose your speed also, and it shouldn't be one thing and tomorrow not. You can change. It's fine to change. It's very good to change. We have to be open to change. But my own cinema is a cinema that is impactful and is making me to think and brings me new question. I watched this film yesterday in opening, the Iranian film. It's a wonderful film. Yes. It's about a man who wants to find a laptop for his daughter to be able to finalize her animation film. Two different words, but it's about a computer, about creating alone in your own room. So this is an impactful film. I love it, and it's quite maybe a bit fast for me, but still, I love it. It's impactful.
So let's continue talking about NIF, which brings you all to Kathmandu, right? So this place for many, as we have perceived from the feedbacks that we've been receiving from a long time, people in many ways find so many stories unfolding here, right? So, but you are both creative people in communications and filmmaking. So as you arrived here, not as tourists, but as storytellers, what was that thing that you took note of that perhaps others might have overlooked?
In the films?
No, in Kathmandu.
Right? I didn't still have so much chance to, to discover the city. But it's a very kind and very attentive culture. It's a culture to make you comfortable and welcome you. I felt it since the first day I arrived here. And also everyone does what they can to find a solution if there's a problem. So I love that. And I really, yesterday for opening, we was crossing this shopping mall. And I was seeing there is, while I was going up, there was some people, they were selling sunglasses, but they were watching in their YouTube a video of dance, and I was like, so amazing. Now I'm going for opening of the festival of the country, and I see the real life while I'm in stairs. So it's a very true festival, true people, and the way they do it is very true, and I love that.
How about the festival?
Festivals, films, so far what I watched, I'm impressed. I think, last year when my film got the awards, and I couldn't be here, still I didn't have a clear idea about Nepalese cinema. But I was very happy to have an award called Everest Award. That was the name of the award that I received last year. And I was like, I definitely have to, find opportunity to go there. And when they invited me as a jury, I was, I didn't hesitate even for a second. And the film, the Nepalese film, in particular, young Nepalese young filmmakers, they have so much things to say, and they have so much things to change respectfully toward their own culture. And we see that through the film. I'm very happy. I'm very happy to see the films. It's very impactful.
Mm-hmm. Professor Jean, for you, Nepal, Kathmandu is like second home, right?
Yes.
So, yes. Does Kathmandu feel familiar to you, or does it surprise you every time you come back?
Yeah, actually, every time Kathmandu surprised me a lot. And in recent years, I came back again and again, and I saw the changes by my own eyes. And every time I came back, I found the streets cleaner and cleaner. And I think the Nepali economy is raising up year by year. That's the happiest thing to me. And the Nepali friends are so kind and friendly, especially the common person on the street. Most of them are very friendly to you. Some kids will say hello to you, and some says, including the girls and boys. And every time I was touched by some flowers and plants, and then because every time I came here in different seasons, I saw different flowers. Sometimes I was touched by the flowers blossom in the corner or on the street or just on the window. I think that's happiness about Nepali's common person's life, daily life. And I also very grateful for the changes of the cafeteria. And here we can experience different kind of foods, including Korean cuisine, Japanese cuisine, Italian cuisine, yes, Chinese, some snacks here, and Chinese noodles are popular here. And the prices are not expensive. The local young people tell me they love Chinese cuisine, especially from my hometown. I was born in Chongqing, a mountain city in China.
That's an amazing city that we see, right, on all those videos.
Yes, I showed you before, and it is called AD Digital City. It's amazing, and one day I hope you to visit there. I think, according to my opinion, Nepal will getting better, will be better and better in the future. Yeah, and the young generation, their how to say, their appearance is really active. Yeah, I like it.
Right, thank you. So before we wrap this up, there is one section where I get to ask you quick questions, and I request, you to give me very quick answers, maybe a word or just something that comes, into your mind right away.
Silence is accepted.
Sorry. I wish not. All right, so the first one is one film that made you feel deeply human, Moshtaba.
A Man Without Past, after Aki Kaurismäki.
Is this an Iranian film?
No, it's a Finnish film. From Finland, yeah.
Wow. How about you, Professor Shun?
A Snow Leopard.
The Snow Leopard. Okay, wow. Silence in cinema or music?
Silence.
Silence.
Silence. A story you will carry with you from Kathmandu?
Being grateful.
People.
Grace, yeah.
Wow.
Love story.
Wow, okay. One word for Kathmandu.
The smell of oud is not one word, but the smell of this, what they turn on in a praying, the oud.
The incense. The incense.
Yeah, the smell
right.
of incense, yeah.
Joyful.
Joyful, all right. Story first or image first?
A story.
Story.
How do you see cinema today? Overwhelming or evolving?
Evolving.
One thing young filmmakers should hold on to?
Keep doing it. Yeah.
Don't stop.
Don't stop, yeah.
AI technology.
Wow. Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much for your valuable time, for taking the time to come over to NTV World Studios and being there at NIF. And yes, I mean, do continue your great job and keep inspiring us all the way.
Thank you very much for hosting us.
Yeah, thank you. So much. It's our great honor. Yeah, thank you.
In the quiet between the poetic silence and the academic vision that I talked about, the two valuable voices that we had with us here in our studios, we really found a shared heartbeat, even among themselves. For the shadows of Tehran to the lights of Kathmandu, we are certainly reminded that while the world may break, the story remains whole. Thank you for being part of this Creative Forum episode, and until next time, this is Shivani Thapa Busnet signing off. Goodbye.
Are you interested to know about Nepal and its major tourist destinations? Do you want to see some of the best destinations in Nepal? Are you the one who enjoys nature, culture and adventure? If yes is the answer, then come with us. We are introducing you to the tourism heaven of Nepal, the Gandaki province, and the exotic destinations. Gandaki province, the tourism capital of Nepal. Gandaki province is very rich with natural diversity and tourism potential. Pokhara is undoubtedly #1 destination for tourists in Nepal. The valley, blessed with natural beauty, attracts domestic and foreign tourists alike. You must have already visited Pokhara. If you haven't or planning another trip, then these are some of the must-go places in Pokhara. The first attraction in Pokhara is the Feva Lake. Boating in Feva Lake is a ritual for every tourist visiting this paradise. The Tal Barahi temple at the center of the lake adds to the beauty of the place. A round-trip boat ride in Feva Lake to and from the temple is a feature of both the lake as well as the temple. Separate boat ride, watching the reflection of Mount Machapuchre on the lake and fishing spice up the Feva experience. The lakeside along the banks of the Feva Lake is a popular tourist hub. Many tourists in Pokhara choose Devi's Fall as their second destination in Pokhara. The water from Feva Lake exits towards Seti River through the Gupteshwar cave from this Devi's Fall. The mighty water stream rushing deep down into the gorge, covered by water vapor, is a magical sight. Pokhara is known as the city of lakes and caves. Many of the lakes and caves have religious importance. This is Gupteshwar cave at Chorepatan area. Inside the cave, the idol of Lord Shiva is a well-known pilgrimage. Further inside the cave, one can see the Devi's Fall. Mahendra cave is another famous place in Pokhara, and nearby is another well-known Chamere cave. Both the caves can be visited together. Two other well-known tourist destinations in Pokhara are Begnas and Rupa lakes. Fresh fish of Begnas lake is a sought-after delicacy. Rupa lake is just round the corner beyond a small hill towards the eastern edge of Begnas lake. Away from the hustle and bustle of the town, Begnas and Rupa lakes cannot be taken out of a tourist's itinerary. This is the famous White Monastery on top of the hill above Feva Lake. This is also a popular destination for domestic as well as foreign tourists. The top-angle bird's-eye view of Pokhara city from the monastery is a sight to behold. The placid Feva Lake, the tall mountain range, and the birds like paragliding pilots on the background of Sarankot Hill are mesmerizing. The Vindhyavasini temple in Pokhara is a famous shrine in Nepal. The best route to visit the temple is on the way to Sarankot. Devotees throng the Vindhyavasini temple, which is atop a small hill with panoramic view of Pokhara city. The Vindhyavasini temple is famous among the Hindus across the country. Sarankot is a hill station on top of a hill on the northwestern side of Pokhara. A must-go place to see the majestic Mount Machapuchre and Mount Dhaulagiri in the Annapurna range in front of the eyes, and also the Pokhara and Leknath cities on the other side. Sarankot is synonymous to paragliding in Nepal. Taking off from the Sarankot hill, one can enjoy the panoramic mountain range in addition to the bird's eye view of Pokhara city. Ultralight and zip flyer offer a thrill to adventure seekers in Pokhara and are becoming major interests for tourists. Other places, including Swarak in Sangja, have the potential to be world's best place for paragliding. First time in Nepal, Paragliding Accuracy World Cup was held at this place, situated at Mahapur of Virkot municipality of the district. The place drew global attention after the event. Pokhara, famous tourism destination of the country. Majority of locals engaged in tourism industry. The city of lakes and caves, hub of aviation sports. Some major destinations: Lakeside, Feva Lake and Tal Barahi Temple, Begnas and Rupa Lakes, Mahendra Gufa. Annapurna Circuit Trek features in world's 10 best destinations and adventures. The trekking circuit is the choice of many trekkers as it offers both adventure along with mesmerizing view of mountain ranges. Arguably the best trekking circuit in the world, travelers get up close with dozens of mountains including the Annapurna, Dhaulagiri, Nilgiri. Annapurna circuit ideally is a 14-day trek. The circuit passes through Lamjung, Manang, Mustang and Myagdi district, including Thorangla Pass as the highest point. Places including Dhampus, Ghandruk and Poon Hill are part of this trekking circuit. The revered Muktinath shrine is also part of the circuit. Only foreigners were seen in this circuit few years back, but now domestic tourists are also flocking the area. If you are looking for a lifetime trekking experience, then pack your bags for Annapurna trekking circuit. Mardi Base Camp Trek, also part of the Annapurna circuit, is another alternative route for trekkers who can't afford time. Trekkers can be up close with mountains including the Annapurna range, Dhaulagiri, Machapuchre and Manasalu in this circuit. This 7-day circuit is attracting many trekkers for obvious reasons. Another famous trekking route in Gandaki province is Manasalu circuit. This circuit, not as popular as Annapurna, is seen as the alternative, as increasing road access in the Annapurna circuit is spoiling its charm. Not just for adventure and natural beauty, Gandaki province is also popular for religious tourism. Dozens of temples in this province draw devotees in numbers. Hundreds of thousands of religious tourists visit this province every year. These sites are important for domestic tourism. Muktinath is an important religious site for Hindus as well as Buddhists. The Muktinath temple is situated 3,710 meters above the sea level in the mountainous district of Mustang. For Hindus, this area is Mukti Kshetra, and Buddhists call it Chuming Gyatsa in Tibetan language. The religious site is famous for Saligram, revered as the manifestation of Lord Vishnu. As per Hindu belief, one who reaches this area will attain salvation. The Manakamana temple at Gorkha district is another very famous shrine for deity Manakamana. Literally means the deity who fulfills one's wishes. Situated some 1300 meters above the sea level, we can see Mahavarat hill range and Chimkeswari peak towards the south, and Mount Annapurna and Mount Manasalu among others towards the north. Beautiful sunrise and sunset is visible from the temple premises. Famously known as the Haridwar of Nepal, Triveni Dham is a historical and archaeological religious site for Hindus. The confluence of Narayani, Tamasa and Sonbhadra rivers is called Triveni Dham. 2 annual fairs draw thousands of devotees from home and abroad, mainly India, in this area. Hindus believe offering prayers and holy water from the river relieves one of sins. The mountainous district of Mustang features in world's top 10 tourist destinations. The natural splendor of Mustang, known as the land beyond the Himalayas, is simply striking. Domestic tourists, along with tourists from SAARC countries and others, arrive here every year. Jomsom Bazar, Kagbeni and Lomangthang are some of the places we can see in Mustang. Manang is known for Tilichu, the lake at the highest altitude in the world. Foreign tourists who arrive here are spellbound by the tall peaks, the suspension bridge at the 5th highest place in the world, and of course, the highest in South Asia, apple farms, and the warmth of the Manangi people. Dhorpatan Hunting Reserve is the only hunting reserve in Nepal. Established in 1987, it covers an area of 1325 square kilometers in the Dhaulagiri of western Nepal, spreading across Rukum, Magdi and Baglung districts. For those interested in gaming or hunting, this is the only destination. This area is the entry point of the Gorilla Trail, a day-long bus ride from Kathmandu to Burtibang or Baglung and a day's walk from there to Dhorpatan. Gandaki province is also the capital of homestay. The most famous and popular homestays are in this province. Nepal's first ever homestay, Sirubari homestay, is also in this province. Tourists flock this homestay in Sanja to experience the local culture and lifestyle. Homestay is a new concept for foreign tourists and a new alternative for domestic travelers. The Ghalegaon in Lamjung is also famous for its homestay. Ghalegaon is an ancient, almost 700 years old civilization and also called the model village of Sar. The main source of income for Ghalegaon dwellers is tourism. Lamjung district has the most number of homestays in Gandaki province. Kaulepani, Purankot and Bhujung homestays are some of the other well-known destinations in Lamjung. Homestays are popular because they not only provide accommodation and food at an affordable cost, but also give an opportunity to experience the rural life and culture. The Gorkha Palace is a historic monument in Gorkha district. This is where then King Prithvinarayan Saha, who conquered small kingdoms and unified into larger Nepal, was born. Not a faraway destination from Kathmandu and also a subject of research and study for many. Some of the other attractions: Gorkha Palace Museum, Gorakhali Temple, Cave, Liglikot, Panoramic Mountain View, Barpak, the 2015 earthquake epicenter. Gandaki province is leading in tourism industry and an example how rural tourism can be a source of income. Bandipur is one such place where domestic as well as foreign tourists are seen round the calendar. Panchase is another such beautiful place along the border of Kaski, Sangja and Parvat districts. Panchase is known for its biodiversity and a model for rural tourism. Tourists who want to experience rural life in Nepal choose this place. Gandaki province offers something for tourists of all interests. From a day to a month, you can spend your trip as per your interest in destinations of your choice. Availability of air service and road connection to almost all destinations makes it much easier for travelers to choose this province before others. Adequate hotels and homestays, restaurants and eateries are ready to cater to travelers of varying need and interest.
Welcome to the Hinterlands on NTV World. This weekly show brings together stories from the hinterlands of Nepal, takes you beyond the cities and highways into the heart of Nepal's rural landscapes. I am Rosina Rai. Our first report takes us to the hills of Dhankuta, where a centuries-old farming tradition is slowly fading from Nepal's rural landscape. For generations, the Bethi tradition embodied the spirit of mutual cooperation, bringing entire communities together during the paddy planting season. Farmers worked side by side in muddy fields, accompanied by the joyful melodies of Asare folk songs and the lively rhythms of traditional Nomati music. But as agriculture becomes increasingly mechanized and rural lifestyle continue to change, this unique cultural heritage is gradually disappearing.
With the arrival of the monsoon, villages across eastern Nepal once again have come alive with unique agricultural activities. Neighbors gather in the fields to transplant rice, accompanied by the vibrant tunes of Nomati instruments and playful Asare folk songs echoing through the hills. This collective farming tradition, known as mutual help or Bethi, is more than agricultural labor. It is a joyful communal celebration of culture and cooperation. However, this lively tradition is gradually disappearing. The melodies of Asare songs are now rarely heard during rice planting, and Nomati bands have largely vanished from the fields. Traditional practices such as preparing communal grain stores have also become increasingly uncommon. In the past, rice planting was not just about growing food, it was a symbol of social unity and shared identity. Local farmers say that the cultural richness that once accompanied the planting season is slowly being lost. Although the full tradition has diminished, glimpses of Bethi can still be seen during National Paddy Day, celebrated on Asad 15 in the Nepali calendar. Farmers working side by side in muddy fields and singing folk songs that turned hard labor into a joyful community activity were once an integral part of agricultural celebrations in Nepal's rural landscapes. To preserve and promote this unique agricultural practice, local governments, the Agriculture Knowledge Center, and community organizations have recently begun organizing cultural events. These revival efforts are also attracting younger generations, many of whom are experiencing the traditions of their ancestors for the first time. Yet, rapid modernization, changing lifestyles, and declining dependence on agriculture continue to threaten the survival of this unique cultural heritage.
Nepal recently observed a National Paddy Day with the celebrations and the symbolic rice planting across the country. But while many communities marked the occasion with enthusiasm, farmers in the western district of Kanchanpur has little reason to celebrate. Weeks of drought and a delayed monsoon have dried up seedbeds and left fields parked, forcing many to postpone rice transplantation and raising serious concerns about this year's harvest. A report.
For Radha Devi Sawad of Bedkot Municipality 8 in Kanchanpur district in western Nepal, the day begins with carrying household water to her fields. Instead of transplanting rice, Sawad is using the water to keep her rice seedlings alive after weeks without meaningful rainfall. Just a few kilometers away, Bisna Saud of Bedkot Municipality 7 faces an even tougher challenge. After drought destroyed the seedbeds twice, Saud is now searching for seedlings from other farmers in the hope of salvaging this year's crop.
ती पनि सुकेर गइसक्यो अब रोपाइ पानी पर्यो भने हुने हो पानी नपर्यो भने गयो भोकमरी हुन्छ अब बेन्द बीज जलिसक्यो त्यो खाने पानीका धाराले दिने पानीको धेरै आवश्यकता हो कि पानी पाउन हम खानै नपाउन
Their struggle reflects a much wider crisis unfolding across western Nepal. The Nepali month of Asar, which falls in June and July, is normally the busiest period for paddy transplantation, with fields turning green as farmers race to complete the planting. But this year, prolonged drought and the delayed arrival of the monsoon have left vast stretches of farmland across the western Tarai dry and uncultivated. Kanchanpur and much of Sudar Pashchim province in far western Nepal have received little to no significant rainfall since May. According to the Agriculture Knowledge Center in Kanchanpur, only about 45% of the district's paddy transplantation has been completed so far. While areas served by the Mahakali irrigation project and other irrigation systems have managed to plant their fields, most rain-fed farmlands remain barren. Many rice seed beds have overmatured waiting for rain. Others have dried up completely, and even transplanted fields are beginning to crack because of the lack of moisture. Agriculture officials warn that rice production is likely to decline if the dry conditions persist. But for many farmers, the immediate concern is even more urgent. Without rainfall in the coming days, they fear they could lose this planting season altogether. For now, farmers' greatest hope remains the arrival of monsoon rain. But with meteorologists already forecasting below average rainfall this monsoon, agricultural experts say better use of weather forecast and timely crop planning will become increasingly important.
Rice remains the backbone of Nepal's agriculture, serving as both the country's staple food and the primary source for livelihood for millions of farming families. Yet, even as the nation celebrates its rice growers, imported Indian seed varieties continue to dominate fields across eastern Tarai. The growing reliance on foreign seeds is raising fresh concerns about Nepal's long-term agricultural sustainability and self-reliance. Now we turn to another issue that is increasingly worrying farmers in the eastern Tarai.
For many farmers across Nepal's eastern Tarai, the first choice this planting season remains imported Indian rice varieties such as Ranjit, BB11 and Sona Mansuli. Despite the availability of locally developed varieties, imported seeds continue to enjoy greater popularity among the farmers. According to Chiranjeevi Bhandari, manager of the Maharani Jodha Small Farmers Agricultural Cooperative Institution, farmers still have greater confidence in imported seeds than domestic ones.
The field हेर्दा हैन अब हामी जब युवै काम गर्ने भएको हिसाबले पनि हेर्दा अनि किसानहरुको कुरा सुन्दा सबै कुरा हेर्दाखेरि चाहिँ अहिले पनि मलाई लाग्छ करिब करिब 70-30 को रेशियोमा छौं के हामी खास गरी जुन इन्डियामा उत्पादन गर्दै स्रोत इन्डिया भएका बिउहरु र नेपालको चाहिँ स्रोत भएका बिउहरु हेर्ने भने करिब करिब 70% चाहिँ इन्डियाको स्रोत भएका बिउहरु चल्या छन् र अरु बाँकी 30% मात्रै हाम्रो चाहिँ नेपालको चाहिँ
Concern over the growing use of foreign seeds is not new. Last year, the Koshi province government fined nearly 36 agricultural cooperatives and seed companies for selling and distributing imported seeds without authorization. But the move has done little to change farmers' preferences, with many continuing to rely on Indian varieties during this year's planting season.
तर हामीलाई यहाँको बजार पाइन्न किन बजार पाइन्न भन्देखि इन्डियाको त्यो रञ्जित सर्नाले गर्दाखेरि नेपालको चाहिँ अब 10 रुपैयाँ 15-20 रुपैयाँले कम्तीले हामीले बेच्नु पर्ने भएकोले हामीले यो बिउलाई चाहिँ अनि स्थगित गरेर अनि हामीले 1600 लाई
Nepal Agricultural Research Council, or NARC, has developed numerous rice varieties suited to Nepali soil. However, those varieties have yet to gain widespread acceptance among the farmers. Narayan Lamsal, Crop Development Officer at Chandadangi Agricultural Development Farm, which is the only government institution in eastern Nepal that has worked in the seed sector for 5 decades, says inadequate promotion and weak coordination among farmers have limited the expansion of domestic seed varieties.
धान पनि चाहिँ रञ्जित भन्दा बढी नै फल्छ राम्रो फल्छ रोग कम लाग्छ किरा कम लाग्छ भनेर हामीले उहाँलाई जानकारी दिन सक्यौं भने अब हाम्रो यही जातमा यही धानमा नेपालकै धानहरुमा चाहिँ उहाँ आकर्षित हुनुहुन्छ भन्ने मलाई विश्वास छ र बीबी 11 बीजी 11 यो पहिले धेरै हुन्थ्यो तर केही मात्रामा चाहिँ हामीले घटाउन सकेका छौं तर तथापि अब हामीले सिफारिस नगरे पनि स्वीकृत नगरे पनि लुकीछिपी आइरहेको भन्ने सूचना हामीसँग आएको छ।
Agriculture experts say quality seed is the foundation of rice self-sufficiency. They argue that improving access to quality seeds, fertilizers, and farm mechanization is just as important as increasing production. Unless Nepal researches, produces, and supplies the rice varieties farmers actually prefer, they say millions of rupees will continue flowing abroad every year for imported seeds, making the goal of self-reliance harder to achieve. This is also a serious threat to age-old ethnic varieties of Nepali rice and other crops.
And finally, we head to the hills of Sangja, where the effects of migration are becoming increasingly visible. Once a vibrant rural settlement, Foxing village now stands largely deserted as families continue to moving to towns and cities in search of better education, healthcare, employment opportunities, and easier access to essential services. Their departure reflects a broader demographic shift that is steadily reshaping rural Nepal. Once a thriving settlement, Foxing village in Ward number 6 of Virkot municipality in Sangja district is gradually falling silent. The lack of reliable road access, quality education, and employment opportunities has compelled many residents to leave their homes in search for a better future. With the most young people migrating to cities or abroad, only the elderly remain in the village. As a result, even finding help during emergencies has become increasingly difficult for the villagers.
समस्या त बेलुका बिहान बस्नै डर भयो छ यहाँ कोही पनि छैनन् दुईटा बुढाबुढी छौं बाह्र पाठो भुकेर बान्दिने मान्छे छैन रमाइलो पनि छैन.
For generations, residents are dependent on mule to transport goods through the areas of challenging terrain. All the roads and transportation services have now reached the village. There are few people left to use them. As families continue to relocate to urban centers, regular public transport services have dwindled, leaving transport operators and drivers struggling to sustain their livelihoods.
व्यवसायीलाई पनि धेरै नै गाह्रो बनाइरहेछ. पहिला मजाले मान्छे भइन्थ्यो, सामान हुन्थ्यो, मजाले चल्न सकिन्थ्यो एउटा दुईटा गाडी. अहिले चाहिँ धराशायी भइरहेछ.
This is not a challenge unique to Virkot. It reflects a wider trend across Sangja district. Ineffective rural development efforts coupled with rapid urban migration are leaving villages sparsely populated and threatening the social and economic fabric of communities.
त्यसैतिर फोक्सिङ हाम्रो चाहिँ धनथान यी एरियाहरु चाहिँ हजुरको चाहिँ पहिला सडक सञ्जाल पनि हामीले चाहिँ समयमा जोड्न सकेनौं र दोस्रो त्यहाँ चाहिँ शिक्षाको पनि समस्या रह्यो. विद्यालयहरुमा चाहिँ उहाँहरुले सोचे जस्तो पब्लिकले सोचे जस्तो चाहिँ शैक्षिक व्यवस्थापन गर्न नसकेको भएर पनि उहाँहरु चाहिँ बसाइसराई गएको अवस्था हो.
According to municipal data, 425 people from 117 households officially migrated out of Virkot municipality in the last fiscal year alone. In Foxing village, 70 out of the 155 households have already relocated. Local representatives say unless development initiatives become more youth-centered, employment-oriented, and productive, rural settlements could face an even deeper population decline in the years to come. Beyond the cities and the headlines, real lives continue to unfold. Stories shaped by struggle, strengthened by resilience, and carried forward by the hope. This is the hinterlands. And we will come back next week with more stories from the heart of Nepal. Do follow us on our website, nepaltelevision.com, social media handles, and our YouTube channel. Thank you for joining us. Goodbye for now.
Every dawn begins with a promise. Light will return. For the people of Nepal, the sun is not just a star in the sky. It is an eternal witness to labor, to love, to loss, and to life itself. The scriptures call it Aditya, the giver of vitality, the sustainer of truth. Farmers bow to it before planting their seeds. Mothers pray to it for the well-being of their children. To the people of Nepal, the sun is not a distant deity. It is divinity made visible, and that reverence is best manifested in Chhat. The festival where dwellers of the plains gather to thank both the rising and the setting sun.
This Chhat festival is a Hindu Vedic festival, which is not only celebrated in India and Nepal these days. It has transcended to all the frontiers. Previously, it used to be celebrated in India and Nepal only. But these days, the devotees who belong to Hinduism or from Islamic community, even they are celebrating abroad. Since this festival is the celebration of the nature and it promotes organic way of life, it promotes pollution-free atmosphere and environment, this festival has reached to all the walks of life because it promotes equality. As you could see that the devotees at the same pond, no matter whichever caste or class they belong, they are considered to be equal.
The roots of this festival lie deep in the ancient plains of Mithila, a cultural landscape shared by Nepal and India, where faith, soil, and sunlight have long shaped life itself. From its earliest mention in the Vedas to its celebration today, Chhat has journeyed through centuries and civilizations, changing form, yet never losing its spirit of purity, discipline, and gratitude.
It's a 5-day festival. The first day is called Marua Mach Barnai. Barnai means to refrain from. In that day, the devotees take a pledge to refrain from consuming non-vegetarian food and garlic and onion-made food items. And the second day is called Nahai Khai. In that second day, the devotees first take bath, then offer prayers to the sun god, and then consume pure food. The third day is called Kharna. And in that day, the devotees take fast till evening and break the fast with the prasada of kheer and banana. On the fourth day, we could see the Sandhya Arghya, that is evening prayers. All the prasada which is offered to the sun god, each and every prasada is offered to the sun god by standing in the waters. And the same thing is repeated in the fifth day, that is called Usa Arghya. Usa means the prayer for the rising sun.
The festival unfolds over 5 days, each with distinct rituals and a shared focus on devotion. Families prepare offerings, maintain sacred spaces, and observe fasts while communities gather along water bodies, including river banks and ponds, to offer prayers to the rising and the setting sun. Women play a central role in organizing the rituals and guiding younger generations, while men and children assist in preparations. The collective participation reinforces family bonds and community cohesion, bridging generations in a shared cultural practice.
The women of our part of the world, they do rigorous fasting for the long life of their husband and children. They are at the central role in this festival. छठमा महिलाले मात्रै पूजा गर्ने होइन, पुरुषलाई पनि छठमा जो सुकैले पनि छठमा पूजा गर्न पाउनुहुन्छ। यहाँ कुनै जेन्डरको बायस छैन। तर हाम्रो वुमेन इम्पावरमेन्टलाई कहाँसम्म यसले रोल प्ले गर्दो रहेछ सस्टेनेबल डेभलपमेन्ट गोल्समै हेर्ने हो भने जेन्डर इक्वालिटी कुरा गर्छ वुमेन इम्पावरमेन्टको कुरा गर्छ देयर इज नो युज अफ संस्कृत मन्त्र देयर इज नो रोल अफ पण्डित देयर इज नो एनी होली टेक्स्ट which will prescribe the modality of the Chhath celebration.
The festival emphasizes the cleanliness of rivers, ponds and the banks, which are central to the rituals. These practices reflect an understanding that devotion is inseparable from responsibility towards nature. The festival demonstrates how religious observances can reinforce sustainable interaction with natural resources, promote environmental stewardship, and instill awareness about protecting water, soil, and the surrounding environment.
Once the Chhath festival concludes, we forget the messages which Chhath festival intends to give. Chhath talks about the pollution-free water bodies, the pollution-free sand, the pollution-free soil, and the pollution-free atmosphere. But the thing is that we often forget these messages. And the governments could uphold these messages if they could come up with certain policies while enlisting this Chhath and or promoting this Chhath festival in the UNESCO or in some other policy mechanism. They could draft some policies or they could draft some provincial laws which could enlist our water bodies as a natural body.
Chhath also supports local economies and traditional practices. Families rely on only locally sourced fruits, vegetables, and bamboo baskets, while vendors sell traditional items for the festival. Home-prepared offerings and locally produced goods strengthen community livelihoods and ensure that cultural indigenous skills and knowledge are preserved. By linking tradition with practical benefits, Chhath sustains both social and economic aspects of the communities and celebrate it.
This festival could be used as a bridge to connect the people from all walks of life, to connect the people from hill and tarai, to connect the people from each and every community member. So this festival could emerge as a festival of social cohesion, and beyond this we could unite our community in a bond of equality and in a bond of community spirit.
From Mithila to Kathmandu and beyond, Chhath bridges regions and generations. Its observance in urban centers and abroad shows how cultural traditions can adapt while maintaining the festival's essence. The rituals connect younger generations with their heritage and ensure the continuity of cultural knowledge. The festival continues to adapt to modern contexts while maintaining its historical roots, ensuring that the traditions and responsibilities it embodies remain relevant for future generations.
The Holy Scriptures also talks about Chhath festival. Lord Sita had performed Chhath festival after Lord Rama came from Banvasa, and once Ram Rajya was established, Goddess Sita had performed Chhath for the well-being of Ram Rajya, for the well-being of the Ayodhya people. It's in Ramayana, Sita had performed Chhath, and in Mahabharata, we could see that Kunti and Pandavas, they had also performed Chhath.
Practices become culture, good practices become religion, and Chhath reflects a tradition that transcends boundaries, uniting communities across the Mithila region. In the flatlands, where summer temperatures often exceed 40 degrees Celsius, the sun becomes both sustainer and foe. Yet, despite the intense heat, devotees endure fasting, prepare offerings, and perform rituals with unwavering discipline and reverence. In facing the sun in this way, they demonstrate resilience, faith, and a profound connection to nature, showing that devotion can persist even under the harshest conditions.
Culture and identity of a nation or community is deeply embedded in its craft and lifestyle. In this, specialized craft producers are major actors. Besides specialized skills and uniqueness, time adds value to such crafts. In this film, we explore two such specialized crafts, one in Kathmandu and the other in Niigata, that have played significant role in elevating their respective national culture and identity in the world's fair. The capital of Nepal, Kathmandu, is a spectacular blend of natural beauty and culture. Habitat to about 2.5 million people, the city holds a rich cultural history that dates back to the ancient times. The 7 UNESCO World Heritage Sites it encompasses are evident to the fact. Swayambhunath, Bodhanath, Pashupatinath temple premises, Changunarayan temple area, as well as the 3 Darbar squares of Kathmandu, Patan and Bhaktapur enlisted in the UNESCO Cultural World Heritage Site are not only a glimpse of its civilization, but Nepalese treasured pride. The civilization of Kathmandu that lies 1400 meters above the sea level seemingly holds a close connection with copper products since time immemorial. Historical text has it that Kathmandu in ancient time was referred to as Nepal. Sanskrit lexicographers have a synonym of tamra or copper as Nepaliklam and Nepalam. Hence, the origin of the name Nepal is assumed to have been derived from the Sanskrit word copper. In Nepal, copper has been a basic raw material to a wide range of art and crafts, including in sculpture, architecture, dete and housewares making. Thus, it has over time been an integral part of Nepali civilization and lifestyle.
इस्वीको सुरुदेखि चाहिँ ताम्र टुक्राहरूको व्यवहारबाट चाहिँ यसको चलनचल्ती भएको बुझिन्छ। त्यसपछि चाहिँ 6औं शताब्दीमा आएर चाहिँ यसबाट चाहिँ मुद्रा बनाउने चलन आयो। तिस्टुङको भटुवाल र पाल्चोक भन्ने दुई ठाउँमा अंशवर्माले राखेको अभिलेखमा चाहिँ यो तामाका भाँडाहरू चाहिँ सरकारको स्वीकृति बिना बाहिर लानु हुँदैन भन्ने उल्लेख आएको छ। ह्वेनसाङ चाहिँ भारतमा आएर भारतबाट चाहिँ नेपाल भएर चाहिँ चीन फर्केको बुझिन्छ। त्यो चाहिँ 643-44 ईस्वी सम्बततिर आएको बुझिन्छ। त्यो जुन कैलाशकूट भवन छ त्यो कैलाशकूट भवनबारे ह्वेनसाङले एकदमै राम्रो चाहिँ उल्लेख गरेको छ कि यो 7 तलाको थियो। यसको चाहिँ छाना चाहिँ तामाको थियो। यसको चाहिँ नेपालमा चाहिँ तामाको पैसा चाहिँ चल्तीमा छ। यहाँका मानिसहरूले भाँडाकुँडाहरू तामाको चलाउँछ। यी कुराहरू उल्लेख गरेको छ जुन चाहिँ चाइनाको टाङ वृत्तान्तमा अथवा इतिहासमा उल्लेख गरिएको छ।
The earliest known Ripause image is Garudasana Vishnu, dated 607 CE from Changunarayan Temple in Bhaktapur. Some historical metal idols of the 6th and 7th century are remaining in private possession or in museum collections abroad. A significant consideration as evidence of copper metal craft are the idols dating back to the 11th century excavated in Makwanpur, which is a district adjoining Kathmandu. At the moment, these rare valuables are safely harbored at the Patan Darbar Square Museum. Among the 3 cities of Kathmandu Valley, Patan is comparatively popular for copper craft. Hundreds of families, especially the Newars, who are natives of this cultural city, have been preserving their ancestral legacy of manufacturing copperwares and artifacts for generations now. In Nepal, copper artifacts are made mainly through 2 techniques, either by lost waxing or ripause, which is a technique of pounding metal sheets. The Malla period between 1200 to 1482 is considered a golden era in terms of metalcraft in Nepal. An array of work dazzling in its quantity and quality was produced then, much of which survives. The popularity of Nepali artisans had reached far and wide. It was in this period that Araniko, the famous artisan, was taken to Tibet. In 1265, Emperor Kublai Khan of China, impressed with Araniko's work, invited him to the capital and got him to renovate the artifacts in the monastery there, dating back to the Song period. In 1274, Emperor Khan appointed Araniko the director of the court artisans in China. To date, artists in hundreds are committed to continue the legacy of copper craft in Nepal. Among them, some are successfully effortful to simultaneously take ahead promotion and expansion of the craft. Among such names is Rajkumar Shakya, renowned for his crafts and entrepreneurship. Shakya was born on 1966 in Patan in a family of metal craftsmen.
हाम्रो पुर्खौली अब बाजे बराजुदेखि नै यही काममा लाग्नु भएको बुवाले काम गर्नु भएको जासलमा बसेर बुवासँगै बसेर खेल्दै सिक्दै काम गर्दै गर्दै परम्परागत तरिकाले नै सिकेको मैले सानो बेला सिक्दाखेरि त्यति बजार पनि थिएन यो कलाको अहिले आउँदाखेरि यो कलाको चाहिँ बजार पनि अन्तर्राष्ट्रिय जगतमा फैलिँदै गयो यसको चाहिँ उत्पादनमा पनि वृद्धि गर्नुपर्ने देखियो
Shakya's works have made a niche both in the national and international market. Passion, focus, devotion and search for new ideas is what has elevated Shakya's profile as compared to other artists. The incomparable expression of skill and creation of beauty are reflected in his works, which are beyond imagination for any ordinary artists. His widely acclaimed works of craft have been placed at various countries, with Japan, Vietnam, China, Thailand harboring his significant works. The latest is the 155 feet tall idol of Guru Padma Sambhav in Bhutan. Based on repoussé, pounded sheets of copper were wrapped around iron skeleton which was built using modern architecture. Supervised by Shakya, it took 4 years for 57 artisans to complete the idol.
2000 एक्सपो मा जर्मनमा मैले सबभन्दा ठुलो स्वयम्भूको स्तूपा बनाउने अवसर पाएँ फेरि पछि चाहिँ 2010 मा चाइनामा पनि फेरि वर्ल्ड एक्सपो मा त्यहाँ पनि मैले चाहिँ ठुलो स्तूपा बनाउने र अरु कलाकृतिहरू बनाउने मौका पाएँ त्यसमा चाहिँ अझ मैले चाहिँ हाम्रो हनुमान ढोकाको श्वेत भैरवको मुखाकृति 12 फिटको श्वेत भैरवको मुखाकृति पनि बनाउने अवसर पाएँ त्यो पनि त्यहाँ अब चाइनामा चाहिँ एक्सपोमा प्रदर्शन गर्न पाएँ त्यसपछि अनि चाहिँ मैले भुटानमा पद्मसम्भवको मूर्ति बनाउने पनि अवसर पाएँ
Cultural and anthropological experts have highly evaluated Shakya's efficiency and capabilities.
त्यो 14औं शताब्दीमा जुन परम्परा थियो हाम्रो नेपालबाट अन्य देशमा गएर चाहिँ नि कलाकारहरूले आफ्नो कला प्रस्तुत गर्ने नेपालको कलाकारितालाई त्यहाँ चाहिँ नि स्थापित गर्ने जुन काम गरेको थियो त्यसै कामको चाहिँ नि निरन्तरताको रूपमा अहिले हामीले 20औं 21औं शताब्दीमा राजकुमार शाक्यजीलाई पाएको छौं यस्तो ठुलो ठुलो ह्युज त्यो मूर्तिहरू बनाउने क्रममा चाहिँ नि त्यो मूर्तिको एउटा स्थानबाट अर्को स्थानमा सार्नु त्यस्तै गरी त्यसलाई चाहिँ प्रोपोर्सनेट मिलाउने आदि इत्यादि टेक्निकल पनि एकदमै कठिन काम हो अब यसलाई चाहिँ उहाँले अत्यन्तै माइन्युटली चाहिँ गर्नु हुँदो रहेछ
To reach Shakya's stature, however, takes a lot of dedication, devotion, practice and patience. Thus, not many youth look keen in pursuing with the profession. Keeping this in mind, Shakya also conducts classes for the younger generation in a bid to hand it over to them. Most interestingly, Shakya's son is also one of his pupils and has already joined him in his business.
हेरिटेजमा नेपालको एकदम टुरिस्टहरु पनि एकदम आकर्षित भयो हेरिटेजमा हैन त्यही भएर अब बुवा पनि यसमै लाग्नु भयो त्यही पनि मैले नि यसमै गरौँ कि जस्तो मलाई लाग्यो बुवा यति आर्टिस्ट भएर पनि अब मेरोमा पनि धेरै एक्सपेक्टेसन गर्छन् होला अरूले पनि त्यही भएर अब सिक्न काम गाह्रो पनि छ सिक्न अब टाइम पनि लाग्नेछ धेरै सिक्न पनि त बाँकी छ
Such noble endeavors, complemented by the engagement of the younger generation, have indeed sparked a hope that the prosperous tradition will be kept alive. For those involved in copper kitchenwares and housewares, the biggest emerging threat is the modern wares, which are both attractive and cheaper. In a bid to preserve their profession, they have now attempted to add diversity to their products based on the demand of the changing times. Meanwhile, there are others like Kalyan Krishna Tamrakar, who, although remaining in the trade, have embraced newer productions based on market needs. Tamrakar has been manufacturing artistic utensils along with internationally acclaimed singing bowls, which are mostly used in meditational purposes.
करीब 28 वर्ष भयो सिंगिङ बोल्स नयाँ सिंगिङ बोल्स बनाउने र त्यसमा अलिकति थेरापिक युजको लागि बनाएको सायद नेपालमा पहिलो नै मैले बनाए होला एउटा फिलोसफी हो र जहाँसम्म युटेन्सिल्स र मैले बनाउने सन्दर्भमा पहिला यो धेरै पहिलाहरू बन्थ्यो र पछि बिस्तारै यो ब्रोन्जको युटेन्सिल्सहरू लोप हुँदै गयो अनि यो बनाउनु पाए हुन्छ कि भनेर अनि हामीले यसलाई फेरि बनाउन थालिएको.
The market for singing bowls is mostly Europe and is used in intensive research and meditation. The sound created from the balls vary based on the utensil itself and is proven effective for improving blood circulation and hence is used in therapy as well. Tamrakar, whose forefathers had been copper craftsmen by profession, has justifiably promoted their knowledge and skills in the wider market through entrepreneurship. Majority of his buyers are from Germany and Japan.
やはり他で買いが利かないのと、さらにその日本の求める品質にネパールの人たちが合わせてものを作ってくれるからと思います。
私のユーザーは心を癒すそういったツールを大変求めているユーザーが多いです。例えばアロマセラピーの方でヨガの方、そういった方たちの要望に応えるためにネパールから輸入しようと思いました。そうすると残ってる手作りは大変高い、ほとんどアーティストのレベルしか残りなくなります。一般の方が使う商品はもう今やネパールでないとできないのが現状だと思っています。ですから私たちのユーザーはそれを望んでますから、今私もネパールから大変たくさんの量を輸入しています。
In the Yahikoyama terrain drained by Shinano River lies Niigata city. Rice farming is predominant owing to the rich soil deposit which makes it ideal for agriculture. Besides, it is also renowned for the high-quality copper mines. During the Meiji period, copper mining flourished in the foothills. Adorned in tulip blooms, the designated city of food and flowers does not rest even amidst thick blankets of snow. Tsubame in Niigata is a city of metal craft and craftsmen that have thrived through prosperity and tumultuous times. At the beginning of the 1600s, lot of artisans came to exist in the Tsubame Sanjo area, driven by the local administration's policy of encouraging side business. Thus originated the metal processing industry from the making of Japanese-style nails known as wakugi. The first artisans also produced household items including agricultural tools, kitchenwares and tobacco pipes. Once Japan started importing Western-style nails, the number of artisans gradually started decreasing. During the Second World War until 1945, the factories in the local area had to be mobilized to produce military goods. The 1950s was a time of mass production and mass consumption in Japan. Thus, metal processing companies grew multifold in number and size. Following the Plaza Accord that largely intervened currency markets, the factories gradually lost their business to their overseas competitors. They did not have as many orders as they once had. As a result, the local business temporarily but sharply declined.
今、燕市で追記銅器というふうに言われている、器といいますか、ものがありますけれども、それは一般的に金工でいう金属を加工する技術の中の単金と言われるものの一つでして、それを全国的に同じような技法はたくさんあるんですけれども、燕市ではそれを追記銅器と呼んでいる。燕市の追記銅器というのは伝統工芸技術としても県の指定にもなっておりますし、伝統工芸品としても指定されていますが、燕市の中ではだいたい今から250年くらい前の江戸時代の後期にその技術が仙台の方から来た職人によって伝わったと言われています。
Kakuhei Tamagawa also learned the technique from the craftsman and hence founded Gyokusendo in 1816. Since then, about 300 artisans have kept alive the traditional skills. The company is currently a leader in Niigata to preserve and expand the treasured tradition of Tsukidoki. It is said during the Second World War, when weapons and arms mass production had peaked, the Tsukidoki industry nearly disappeared owing to shortages of copper. It was Gyokusendo's then leadership that brought back the craftsmen dispersed across the country that helped in the revival of the industry. Gyokusendo celebrates its 200th anniversary in 2016. Today, its outlets are spread in top-notch departmental stores in high-end streets of Japan and overseas. Motoyuki Tamagawa is the 7th master of Gyokusendo. Since taking over the company at an early age, he has worked hard to promote his products and company. Tamagawa, who strongly believes in adapting to business management style with time rather than changing age-old skill patterns, introduced the trend of putting his artisans in direct contact with the customers at Gyokusendo's outlets and during exhibitions. This, he believes, not only helps customer understand the skill and hard work required to create an artifact, but also helps the artisans learn the needs and tastes of the changing times.
顔の見える商売をしようと思ったんですよね。でそこで私考えたのが商社を下ろさずに、直接百貨店に行って、でそこで実演販売をして、職人がお客様と会話するようなこのビジネスモデルを作ってるんですよ。この玉泉の方向としては、大量というよりは本当銅器を愛用してくださる方に対してちゃんと説明して、ちゃんと愛用していただける方を対象としたやっぱり商売をしていきたいと思ってますんで、だからそういうこと職人も、だから職人をどんどん増やすというわけではなく、ビジネスもどんどん大きくするわけではなくて、ちゃんと玉泉堂というブランドをね、本当高めていく。でお客様のその愛用する、顧客満足度もやっぱり高めていくというところがすごく大事だと思ってますね。
At the Gyokusendo factory, about 15 artisans of various ages work hard by the day to improve their skills. Working with Gyokusendo is a dream for many artisans. Gyokusendo recruits one from among hundreds applying every year. For a craftsman, it can take about 20 to 30 years to acquire proficiency to handle a set of techniques all by himself. Each stroke in tsukidoki is made in such a way such that the marks do not overlap. The proficiency of an artisan is observed in a vessel made out of one copper sheet and without any seams. For the younger artisans, it is a matter of a lot of perseverance and patience. Today, all independent tsukidoki artisans in Tsubame were once trained at Gyokusendo. Among them, a prominent name is of an artist par excellence, Master Norio Tamagawa.
今のその木目金イコール木目金っていうのがもう、のりおさんのことなんですけれども、その土台となっているのはやっぱり玉泉堂で修行していた時代の追記銅器という技術が骨幹にあって根元のところにあって、でそこから、まあ亡くなられた師匠のところに、弟子入りをしたりですとか、いろんなまあご苦労修行の中でご苦労されながら、今、まあ、世界にもこう名前を馳せるようになった素晴らしい作品を作られるようになったと思います。
Master Norio Tamagawa is the pride of Niigata and is acclaimed as the living national treasure Japan. His insurmountable contribution in reviving mokumegane through his outstanding and unique creation is beyond comparison. The Tsubame Industrial History Museum, which is a hub to compile, preserve and exhibit industrial heritages, has set up a separate section to exhibit his works. This meticulously carved artifact harbored at the museum is the master's signature art piece. The masterpiece is a delicately hammered, refined handiwork that, owing to its traditional aura and aesthetic value, has awed art lovers and consumers across the world.
いわゆる就職って言いますか、会社へ入りますね。従業員として入って、何年か経った時に少し外の世界も見たいと思って東京へ2年ばかり修行に行ったんです。日本の芸大っていうね、その人たちとの交流もあったんで、その作品、私の場合はずっとほら商品を作ってたわけでしょ。商品じゃない作品作りのペースっていうのをね、ああ違うもんだなっていうのをつくづく感じましたね。
The master reminisces it took him 11 years before he could call his product a piece of art. As a young artist, he took inspiration from his seniors to aim high and excel bigger dreams.
作品作りには影響ないね。作品の場合はあくまでも個人のまあなんだ欲求のままに作るんですからね。世間が何を求めてるかっていうのはあんまり関係ない。っていうのは力がいる仕事なんでね。もう70過ぎてね、現役っていうのは今まであんまりいなかったんです。だから私はまあ仕方ないからやってるけども、だから夢はないけども、もう作品をいくつ作れるか。
The traditional skill nurtured by newer skills, tools and technology has elevated the 200-year-old technique to a world-class art. Contemporary tsukidoki products include a wide range of aesthetically distinctive housewares and artifacts. Mr. Tatsushi Tamagawa, currently the chief manager at Gyokusendo, is Master Norio Tamagawa's son. He started as an artisan at Gyokusendo. Since then, much has changed. He has seen the changing business landscape, the diversity in products, which he says directly or indirectly determines the mindset and working style of an artisan.
言われたものを、早く きっちり作るっていうのがというのはいい職人だと思うんですけども、最近はプラス、いろいろこういう喋るものとかも今はそういうふうに、いろいろお客様に説明するとかそういうものも含まれて、全てこなしていい職人になるのかなという感じは最近はありますね。
Most fascinatingly, his son Keita, the youngest of the Tamagawas, also works under him at Gyokusendo. At 20, Keita is already an efficient beginner. Initially driven by his grandfather's success when he joined the company, it was but a prized escape for Keita. But now, Keita is intensively working hard to attain the precision to be a better artist.
そうですね。どちらの方もすごい仕事に対して一生懸命で寡黙なので、そういうところを自分に取り入れられたらいいなとは思ってますね。なんか、僕のお父さんもなんかおじいちゃんに真似してるっていうか似てきているのでなんかそうですね。おじいちゃんからはやっぱりちょっと仕事がテキパキ早いので、そういうところを見習いたいなとは思いますね。はい、そういうところです。はい。
Since the beginning of human civilization, art has evolved based on culture and vice versa. Nevertheless, the demand of changing times has had a detrimental role to play in its course and form. Whether it is Niigata or Kathmandu, artisans continue to express themselves in their artworks. There is little doubt the modern-day artisans' creativity, aided by modern technology, has not only helped preserve traditional skills, but also contributed to the ascent of human civilization.
Nepal government reports 87% progress in 100-point reform agenda implementation. Also announces integrated relief package to Gen Z and martyrs families. Nepal's National Assembly approves 4 bills. Finance Minister says government committed to removing Nepal from FATF grey list. Elephant intrusion surges as solar fence falls into disrepair in eastern Nepal's Chapa residents demand immediate action. Iran begins public mourning for Ayatollah killed in February. Such comes as Iran and US observe fragile ceasefire to halt conflict. Ukraine hits major oil terminal in Russia's St. Petersburg. Zelensky says target generates revenue for Russia's war. And World Cup knockout stage kicks off from today with Canada set to face Morocco, France to meet Paraguay in other match. Hello there, I am April Agising Lama and this is NTV World News Hour coming to you live from Kathmandu at 2200 hours Nepal time. Now the news in detail. Nepal's government led by Prime Minister Balendra Shah has announced key achievements marking the completion of its first 100 days in office, highlighting progress in governance reforms, service delivery and anti-corruption measures. Government spokesperson and Minister for Education and Sports Sasmit Pokhrel said that implementation progress of the government's 100-point governance reform agenda has reached 87.2%. Key advancements include the implementation of open competition for the selection of university vice-chancellors and reforms in the examination system, which have been successfully integrated into the academic calendar. The government has announced an integrated relief package for those injured during the Gen Z movement and the families of martyrs. The package includes relief assistance, medical facilities and employment opportunities and other support measures. We will look more into Nepal government's 100 days in our segment Issue of the Day later in the bulletin. Now in other news, Nepal's National Assembly has unanimously endorsed proposals to consider 4 key bills received from the House of Representatives, clearing the way for amendments for legislation on public procurement, money laundering, cooperatives and health sciences institutions. The 4 bills now move to the amendment stage where lawmakers will have the opportunity to propose changes before they are taken up for clause-by-clause deliberation. The National Assembly is expected to continue discussions on the legislation when it reconvenes on July 6th. The next meeting of the National Assembly has been scheduled for July 6th. Now we have an in-depth coverage on this issue later in the bulletin as well. Moving on, wild elephant attacks in Nepal's eastern district of Chapa have escalated into one of Nepal's most persistent human-wildlife conflicts, with herds repeatedly entering settlements, destroying homes and crops, and threatening lives. Crossing the Mechi River from forested areas in India, elephants have for years forced local residents to live under constant fear, facing repeated damage and insecurity. The conflict peaks during the monsoon and crop harvesting seasons when elephants are drawn from nearby forests to farmlands and household grain stores where residents face recurring incursions and growing safety concerns. We will look more into this in our cover story later in the bulletin. Now, Iran has begun several days of public mourning and funeral processions for its former supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, more than 4 months after he was killed in strikes launched by the US and Israel. The former Ayatollah's body is currently lying in state at Tehran's Grand Mosala ahead of his burial in his hometown of Mashhad next Thursday. It comes as Iran and the US observe a fragile ceasefire after signing a preliminary deal to halt their conflict, in which Khamenei was killed in an airstrike. Meanwhile, Iran's main military command, Khatam al-Anbiya Central Headquarters, has warned that any US interference in the Strait of Hormuz will be met with the Iranian armed forces' decisive and swift response. It emphasized that the continued presence of US manned and unmanned fighter aircraft over the waterway will cause insecurity, adding that Iran will not hesitate to take the necessary actions to crush any aggression by the US forces and their supporters to protect its sovereignty over the strait. Now, a major oil terminal in Russia's second city of St. Petersburg in the northwest was struck overnight by Ukraine. President Volodymyr Zelensky has said he described it as key infrastructure that generates revenue for Russia's war. Ukraine also said a major Russian naval base in the region was hit. St. Petersburg Governor Alexander Beglov said the city was under a massive drone attack, admitting the oil terminal was hit. He reported no casualties. Ukraine has recently intensified its long-range drone attacks on Russia's critical energy infrastructure, causing widespread fuel shortages. Kyiv says nearly 43% of Russia's oil refining capacity has been disabled as a result. Now, in the sports front, Morocco is facing co-host Canada, while France is set to take on Paraguay in the round of 16 of the FIFA World Cup 2026, setting up 2 high-profile knockout clashes as the tournament enters its elimination phase. Morocco, one of the standout teams of the competition so far, advanced to face Canada in a match expected to test their defensive discipline against a fast-improving Canadian side. The match will kick off 10:45 p.m. Nepal Standard Time. Former champion France is meeting Paraguay in the other fixture, with the French squad entering the knockout stage as one of the tournament favorites following a strong group stage performance. The match will begin at 2:45 a.m. Nepal Standard Time. And earlier in last round of 32 clashes, defending champions Argentina survived a stunning challenge from Cape Verde, edging the African minnows 3-2 after extra time to secure a place in round of 16. Similarly, Egypt defeated Australia on penalties to claim its first ever win in the World Cup knockout stage. Now, after the break, report card time for the government as it completes its first 100 days in office. We'll break down the promises, the progress, and the questions that remain. Also ahead the push to get Nepal off the FATF grey list and why avoiding a blacklist is so important. You're watching NTV World News Hour with April Agisinglama. Welcome back. Nepal's government is touting major progress after its first 100 days in power. Prime Minister Balendra Shah's administration says nearly 90% of its reform agenda is already complete, from cutting ministries to cracking down on corrupt appointments. Smitu Gising Tamang along with Keshav Bista brings more.
Nepal's government is marking a milestone this week, 100 days in power. The coalition led by Prime Minister Balendra Shah, the former mayor of Kathmandu, who swept to the premiership after this year's general election, took office in late March. Now 100 days on, it's presenting its report card. At a press conference held at Singadarbar, the seat of Nepal's government, spokesperson Sashmit Pokhrel, who also serves as Education and Sports Minister, laid out the numbers. The administration had set itself a 100-point reform agenda focused on 3 priorities: cleaner governance, tougher anti-corruption measures, and faster, more citizen-friendly public services. According to the government, that agenda is now 87.2% complete. 70 of the 100 points have been fully delivered. Of the remaining 30, 17 have progressed beyond 80%, while 13 remain under 60%. Pokhrel credited much of the restructuring to campaign promises made by the Rashtriya Swatantra Party RSP, which leads the coalition, including trimming the number of government ministries.
पूर्ण रूपमा सम्पन्न भएको 70 वटा 60% वा सोभन्दा कम चाहिँ जम्मा 13 वटा र अधिकांश सम्पन्न भएको चाहिँ 17 वटा अधिकांश भन्नाले 80% अथवा सोभन्दा बढी चाहिँ 17 वटा भएको चाहिँ जानकारी आएको छ। यो यसको डिटेल पनि यहाँहरुलाई हामीले चाहिँ उपलब्ध गराउने नै छौं।
On accountability, the government says it's made more than 100 policy and legal changes in its first 100 days. Senior politicians and civil employees, and revived an earlier report on protecting public property. Officials also say roughly 1,500 politically influenced appointments to public positions have been cancelled, with hiring new shifting to open competition. Meanwhile, more than 10,000 people who lost savings in Nepal's troubled cooperative sector have been partly repaid.
राजनीतिक पहुँच र प्रभावबाट नियुक्त पाएका पदाधिकारीहरूको नियुक्ति खारिजी भएको थियो भने त्यो पदपूर्ति गर्न हामीले चाहिँ पारदर्शी ढङ्गबाट अलिकति ओपन कम्पिटिसनबाट यसलाई निकै नै पारदर्शी बनाएर हामीले पदपूर्तिको प्रक्रिया पनि हामीले अगाडि बढाएका छौं.
On jobs and services, the government points to 15,000 people employed through a national jobs program, a new school year calendar for education reform, and upgraded government software and cyber security.
प्राविधिक मापदण्ड अनुसार सम्पन्न कार्यको बिल स्वीकृत भएको 3 दिनभित्र अनिवार्य भुक्तानी गर्नुपर्ने व्यवस्था लागू गरिएको छ. साथै 50% भन्दा बढी म्याद थप भई पनि काम प्रगति न्यून रहेका तथा अलपत्र ठेक्कामाथि कानुनी कारबाही प्रक्रिया अघि बढाइएको, निर्माण क्षेत्रमा ढिलासुस्ती लगायत वृद्धि र ठेक्का व्यथिति नियन्त्रण गर्ने आधार पनि हामीले सुदृढ गरेका छौं.
One of the more sensitive efforts, relocating families living in flood-prone settlements along the river banks of the Kathmandu Valley. The government says 2,608 households have been moved so far, with more relief work ongoing. Officials also cited gains in electricity exports and domestic power use, the restart of previously shuttered state industries, and an expanded irrigation network. The figures are entirely the government's own assessment of its performance. Independent verification and public reaction on the ground may tell a different part of the story.
Nepal's government has marked its first 100 days in office with a sweeping set of governance and administrative reforms, highlighting a declared zero-tolerance stance on corruption, major institutional restructuring, and expanded efforts to improve public service delivery across the country. Diksha Awasthi, along with Subhadra Gautam, brings more. Following the corruption of its first 100 days in office, Nepal's government has announced a series of governance and administrative reforms, emphasizing a strong stance on corruption control and improved public service delivery. As part of institutional restructuring, the government reduced the number of ministries from 25 to 18, a move projected to save approximately 20 billion rupees annually for the state treasury. It has also highlighted the abolition of party-affiliated trade unions as a key reform in public administration, alongside the dissolution of politically aligned student organizations during the same period. A property investigation commission has been formed and has already begun probing the assets of high-ranking public office holders.
हामीले सम्पत्ति छानबिन आयोग 2083 गठन गरेका छौं. यसले लगभग 11,000 भन्दा बढी उजुरी प्राप्त गरिसकेको छ र त्यसको प्रक्रिया पनि अगाडि बढाइसकेको मैले यहाँलाई जानकारी गराउन चाहे. त्यसैगरी सार्वजनिक जग्गा छानबिन एवं संरक्षण सम्बन्धी आयोग राहुल आयोगको बारेमा हामीले यसभन्दा अगाडि पनि जानकारी गराइ नै सकेका छौं. राहुल आयोगलाई चाहिँ कार्यान्वयन गर्न नेपाल सरकारले मन्त्री परिषदबाट निर्णय गरिसकेको पनि जानकारी गराए.
In the area of service delivery, the government said it has prioritized making public services more accessible to citizens. Passport delivery to homes has been initiated in 75 of Nepal's 77 districts, with Humla and Bhojpur yet to be covered. So far, 206,330 passports have been transported via postal service to district administration offices, while 5,728 have been delivered directly to applicants' residences. To improve administrative efficiency, around 500 government employees have received specialized training to strengthen frontline service delivery and provide immediate assistance to service seekers at government offices. In addition, arrangements have been made for companies registered at the Office of the Company Registrar to obtain permanent account numbers, that is PAN, and related certificates from the same office, as well as from 120 local levels providing taxpayer services. A total of 2.375 million driving licenses have been printed, with plans to complete 2.9 million by the end of the current fiscal year. Following recommendations from a task force on implementing a one-window service system, the government has allocated budget to gradually roll out the system across all 32 district administration offices. In its first 100 days, the government also highlighted refunds of cooperative savings and payments to dairy farmers, along with improvements in driver's license issuance and expanded employment and social security programs. Rojina Rai with Kamala Aryal brings the report.
The government of Nepal today completed its first 100 days in office, highlighting progress in the economy, public service delivery, employment and governance. The government said it has refunded 263.9 million Nepali rupees to the depositors of 10 travel cooperatives. It also claimed that the Dairy Development Corporation has improved its financial position, paying 410 million Nepali rupees in outstanding dues to dairy farmers since mid-April. At a press briefing, the Nepal government spokesperson Sasmit Pokhrel said the Public Procurement Second Amendment Bill has been tabled in Parliament to address long-standing irregularities in the public procurement system. The government also reported progress in the distribution of driver's licenses. More than 2.37 million licenses have been printed over the past 100 days, with a target of reaching 2.9 million by the end of the current fiscal year. It added that successful applicants now receive their driver's licenses the day after passing the driving test.
दुग्ध विकास संस्थानको व्यावसायिक पक्षको सुधारका लागि दूध खरिद बापत किसानहरूलाई भुक्तानी गर्न बाँकी बक्यौता रकम 2083 वैशाख 17 सम्म 67.66 करोड रहेकोमा करिब 41 करोड 50 लाख भुक्तानी गरिसकिएको छ। त्यसरी नै औद्योगिक क्षेत्रभित्र लामो समयदेखि बक्यौता उठ्न बाँकी उद्योगहरूको बक्यौता रकम उठाउने काम पनि सुरु भइसकेको छ, जस अन्तर्गत हालसम्म 43 करोड 48 लाख 21,131 रुपैयाँ असुली भइसकेको छ।
The government also announced that Nepalese living in India can now deposit money directly into their bank accounts in Nepal. Under the Prime Minister Employment Program, 15,000 of the 17,000 selected beneficiaries have already secured minimum employment. It further stated that 103 institutions and more than 136,000 contributors have joined the Social Security Fund. Relief assistance has also been provided to 465 families displaced from the informal settlements in Kathmandu. Highlighting its anti-corruption efforts, the government said more than 11,000 money laundering-related complaints were registered during the 100 days review period. The government also reported improvements in postal services, with more than 206,000 passports delivered directly to citizens' homes through district administration offices.
And that is the end of our Issue of the Day segment. Coming up next, the human-elephant conflict in Chapa is growing, with homes, crops and lives increasingly at risk. We bring you the story from the front lines of one of Nepal's most pressing wildlife challenges. You're watching NTV World News Hour. Time for the cover story. Human-elephant conflict has flared up again in Bahundangi of Mechinagar municipality in eastern Nepal after a solar-powered electric fence installed to keep wild elephants out fell into disrepair. The weakened barrier has allowed herds to enter settlements and farmlands, causing fresh destruction of homes, crops and rural livelihoods in the long-troubled area. Bijeta Bhandari, along with our local correspondent from Chapa, Dikesh Lama, brings more.
Human-elephant conflict has intensified again in Bahundangi of Mechinagar municipality in eastern Nepal after a solar-powered electric fence installed to deter wild elephants fell into disrepair. This has allowed elephant herds to enter settlements and farmlands, causing renewed destruction of homes, crops and rural livelihoods in one of the region's long-running human-wildlife conflict zones. Bahundangi, long identified identified as a key entry route for wild elephant crossing the Mechi River from forest areas in India, has witnessed years of recurring fear and destruction among the local communities. Although the installation of a solar fence a few years ago had significantly reduced elephant intrusion, locals say the lack of regular maintenance has led to its deterioration, weakening the protective barrier.
घर घरमा एकदम वरिपरि कोठेबारी
यही बाटो हिँड्थे ताप लागेर मान्छे मारो एकैछिनमा.
As a result, large herds of elephants have once again begun entering villages, maize fields, paddy farms, and even nut plantations, according to the residents. Farmers, many of whom had already shifted from maize to tea cultivation due to previous elephant damage, are now reporting losses in tea and areca nut crops as well, further deepening their concerns. They added the situation has worsened this year, with elephants entering settlements not only at night but also during daytime hours.
हात्ती एकै हन्जा गरेर हिँड्ने भने 150 भन्दा माथि छ. धान खेती त हामीले मकै धान त लाउनै छोड्यौं. यहाँ त पहिलेदेखि खाएर चिया थियो, चिया नै धेरै नोक्सान गरिदियो. केही छैन, चिया टिपेर खाउँ न त भन्दा चिया पनि छैन. हात्तीले दिनरात नष्ट गरिरहेछ.
The prolonged human-elephant conflict, which has persisted for years, remains unresolved, with reports of casualties on both sides over time. Residents said the recent surge in damage points to urgent need not only to repair the solar fencing, but also to ensure regular monitoring and maintenance of its batteries, wiring, poles, and electrical systems.
Now, in this context, we asked the locals how has elephant intrusion affected their daily life and livelihood. Let's hear what they had to say.
विद्यालयकै क्याचमेन्ट एरिया वरिपरि हात्तीहरू दिउँसै विचरण गरिरहेको अवस्थामा बालबालिकाहरूलाई विद्यालय छुट्टीबाट घर फर्किँदा पनि उनीहरूलाई त्रास हुन्छ र विद्यालय आउँदा पनि त्रास हुन्छ.
पर्यटनलाई चाहिँ हाउंगुजीको रूपमा सोच्नु हुँदैन. यो चाहिँ हात्ती देखाएर हात्ती चराएर पर्यटन गर्न खोजेको होइन. यहाँको चाहिँ अन्य कुराहरूसँग जोडेर पनि हामी ग्रामीण पर्यटन विकास गर्नुपर्छ भन्ने कुरामा हामी लागेका छौं.
किसानहरूको समस्या भनेको यहाँको जनधन बाली नाली सबै विनाश गरिरहेको छ. यो समस्या समाधान गर्नको लागि चाहिँ मेचीमा तपाईको ग्रेट वाल जस्तो ढुङ्गाको पर्खाल लाउनु पर्ने हुन्छ र त्यसमाथि फेन्सिङ गर्यो भने चाहिँ समस्या समाधान हुन्छ कि जस्तो लाग्छ. राज्यले पहल गर्नुपर्ने धेरै जरुरी देख्छु म.
ज्यादै नै हात्तीको यो प्रकोप बढ्यो. त्यसकारणले गर्दा अरु बेला हामीले दुःख सुख हामीले लगी नै राखेका थियौं. भित्राइएको थियो, अलिअलि खान्थ्यो, 2-4 मन 5 मन धान खान्थ्यो. तर अहिले चाहिँ सारे त्यस्तो आशा चाहिँ छैन. रहे पनि गरि ल्याएको कामहरू अब किन जमिनहरू बाँझो गर्ने भनेर हामीले त्यसमा चाहिँ हामी लागि परिरहेका छौं.
हात्ती नियन्त्रणका लागि अब जो के भन्छ, हात्ती भनेको अब जंगलमै बस्ने प्राणी हो, उसलाई जंगलमै राख्नुपर्छ भनेर एउटा सकारात्मक डिल गर्न सक्छ सरकार भी.
That was the cover story of the day. Now we move to the remaining updates. Nepal's National Assembly has unanimously endorsed proposals to consider 4 key bills received from the House of Representatives, clearing the way for amendments to legislation on procurement, money laundering, cooperatives and health sciences institutions. The upper house also heard government commitments on Financial Action Task Force, FATF compliance and broader financial sector reforms during the session. We have an in-depth coverage on today's National Assembly proceedings.
Nepal's National Assembly has unanimously agreed to consider 4 bills received with messages from the House of Representatives, opening the way for amendments to key legislation on procurement, money laundering, cooperatives and health sciences institutions. In a meeting held on Saturday, the upper house passed the proposal to consider the Public Procurement Bill 2083 presented by Law Minister Shobita Gautam on behalf of Prime Minister Balendra Shah. Similarly, Similarly, lawmakers unanimously approved the proposal to consider the Money Laundering Prevention Bill 2083 tabled by Finance Minister Dr. Swarnim Wagle. While presenting a proposal for deliberation on the Prevention of Money Laundering Bill, Finance Minister Dr. Wagle said that full support from all stakeholders is essential to remove Nepal from the Financial Action Task Force FATF grey list, reiterating the government's commitment to exiting the list through effective implementation of required reforms.
मुलुकलाई ग्रे लिस्टबाट चाँडोभन्दा चाँडो कसरी निकाल्ने त्यो मकसदका साथ हामी काम गरिरहेका छौं र यसमा सिङ्गो राज्य नै लाग्नु पर्दछ र हामी सिङ्गो राज्यको सहयोग अपेक्षा गरेर नै हामी अगाडि गएका छौं र सम्मानित सदन दुवै सदन तल्लो सदन र माथिल्लो सदन अपर हाउस लोअर हाउसबाट पनि त्यही स्पिरिटमा चाहिँ हामीलाई सहयोग हुन्छ भन्ने आशा मैले गरेको छु.
The Cooperatives Bill 2083, presented by Minister for Land Management, Cooperatives, Federal Affairs and General Administration Pratibha Rawal, was also endorsed. Minister Pratibha Rawal acknowledged the difficulties in returning depositors' money without strict action against defaulters in financial cooperatives. She said the ordinance has been introduced to address the hardship faced by thousands of depositors.
हजारौं बचतकर्ता जसको चाहिँ बचत फिर्ता नभएर अहिले जुन पीडामा हुनुहुन्छ त्यो पीडालाई पनि चाँडो भन्दा चाँडो सम्बोधन गर्नुपर्ने अहिलेको आवश्यकता थियो. धेरै कुराहरू संशोधन गर्नुपर्ने छ यसमा. तर केही गाँठो फुकालेर जस्तो यो अध्यादेश आइसकेपछि चाहिँ साना बचतकर्ताको बचत फिर्ता हुन सुरुवात भएको छ हैन. धेरै थुप्रो कामहरू गर्नुपर्ने छ.
In addition, the proposal to consider the Some Nepal Acts related to Health Sciences Institutions Amendment Bill 2083, presented by Health and Food Safety Minister Nisha Mehta, was approved. With a unanimous endorsement, the National Assembly has cleared the way for detailed deliberations on the 4 key bills, marking a significant step in the government's ongoing legislative agenda. Lawmakers are expected to begin clause-wise discussions in the coming sessions, with the next meeting of the Upper House scheduled for July 6, where further consideration of the proposed amendments is likely to continue.
Now, a task force formed to prepare a dialogue paper on amendments to the Nepal's constitution is expected to present its report before the Prime Minister by mid-July. According to task force coordinator Asim Shah, who also serves as the chief political advisor to Prime Minister Balendra Shah, they are likely to submit the report to the Prime Minister within mid-July. At a program organized today at the office of the Prime Minister and Council of Ministers to unveil the government's major accomplishments in its 100 days at the office, task force coordinators said they are holding dialogues with various concerned stakeholders, constitutional experts and political parties. Now, tourist arrivals at Bedkot Lake in Bedkot Municipality, Kanchanpur district have been steadily increasing in recent months. The rise is attributed to improved infrastructure and growing interest from both domestic and foreign visitors, including a notable number from India. Subeksha Rajak along with local correspondent Ram Singh Thaguna brings more.
The number of tourists visiting Vedkot Lake, situated in Vedkot Municipality of Kanchanpur district in far west Nepal, has been steadily increasing. While the lake was previously visited mainly by a small number of domestic tourists, the number of foreign visitors has also grown in recent times, with Indian tourists making up a significant proportion. The visiting tourists say they found the lake more beautiful than they had heard.
हमने सुनना है यहाँ पे, हम देखे, हमने यहाँ आए और हमें काफ़ी अच्छा लगा यहाँ पे आके. और मतलब जैसा हमारा एक टूरिस्ट प्लेस जैसा हमें यहाँ पे फील आया, मतलब एकदम ऐसा फील आया हमें.
The increase in tourist arrivals has been attributed to the construction of a new temple in the lake area, improvements to the road network, the development of a view tower, and the construction of a circumambulation trail around the lake by Vedkot Municipality. Visitors also come to the lake to enjoy its natural beauty, including the fish, crocodiles, ducks, and the picturesque reflection of Lipna Hill on the lake.
ठन्डा हावापानी हेर्नुस् यहाँको यो वातावरण यस्तो यहाँ जंगल पनि यस्तो छ. यो पानी यो तलाउ यो ठाउँमा अहिले पनि यो बर्सात पनि सुरु भएको छैन. अहिले पनि कहिल्यै नसुक्ने यो ताल, यहाँको पानीको मूल हेर्नुस् यहाँ हैन यहाँ अब माछाहरू रिसर्च गरे पनि हुन्छ
Vedkot Municipality Mayor Bhojaj Bohra stated the lake possesses both outstanding natural beauty and religious significance.
त्यो मनोरम प्राकृतिक तालसँगै बैजनाथको उत्पत्तिको गाथा छ त्यसमा जोडिएको अब त्यसलाई प्राकृतिक रूपमै रन दिने कि अथवा त्यसलाई के भौतिक त्यसमा चाहिँ सृजनाहरू गर्ने भन्ने बारेमा दुईटा खाले द्वन्द्वहरू जहिले पनि रहिरहेका छ.
Adding that the municipality is committed to developing the necessary infrastructure to promote the site. The municipality is carrying out construction activities in accordance with the detailed project report DPR to make it easily accessible and add amenities in the vicinity. Locals say in required physical infrastructures are put in place, the area could generate income as well as create more employment opportunities. Local have urged the province.
International news coming up next, but before that, a quick recap of the headlines. Nepal government reports 87% progress in 100-point reform agenda implementation. Also announces integrated relief package to Gen Z and Matias families. Nepal's National Assembly approves 4 bills. Finance Minister says government committed to removing Nepal from FATF grey list. Elephant intrusion surges as solar fence falls into disrepair in eastern Nepal's Chapa. Residents demand immediate action. Iran begins public mourning for Ayatollah killed in February. Such comes as Iran and US observe fragile ceasefire to halt conflict. Ukraine hits major oil terminal in Russia's St. Petersburg. Zelensky says target generates revenue for Russia's war. And World Cup knockout stage kicks off from today with Canada set to face Morocco. France to meet Paraguay in other match. US President Donald Trump accused domestic radicals and extremists of threatening the country's identity, escalating his criticism of political opponents. Speaking on the eve of the United States' 250th Independence Day, Trump said the United States was under attack from within.
Yet as we approach this magnificent anniversary, we see our American identity under a renewed attack, a generation after we fought and won the Cold War against the menace of communism. There is now a resurgence of the communist menace in our land, including from newcomers to our country who embrace ideas totally opposed to our way of life and our great success.
German police have deployed a large security operation in the eastern city of Erfurt ahead of the far-right Alternative for Germany, AfD, Federal Party Congress this weekend. Tens of thousands of protesters are expected to rally against the gathering, with several alliances planning demonstrations, colorful events and blockades aimed at preventing delegates from reaching the venue. Authorities estimate up to 50,000 demonstrators could take part, including around 2,500 who may be prepared for violence, prompting heightened security across the city. Critics accuse the AfD party of promoting extremist anti-immigration policies and have renewed calls for it to be banned, while the AfD rejects the allegations and describes itself as a conservative alternative. Now, Typhoon Maysak, the 10th typhoon of the year, made landfall on the coast of China's southern Hainan province, bringing torrential rains that flooded multiple roads in the coastal city of Sanya and promoted a series of overnight rescue operations. Chinese authorities reported widespread disruption in low-lying areas as heavy rainfall continued to lash parts of Hainan, with emergency teams deployed to assist affected residents and manage localized flooding. Meanwhile, in the western North Pacific, Super Typhoon Bavi intensified into a Category 5 equivalent storm earlier today as it tracked toward the Mariana Islands, triggering warnings of potentially catastrophic conditions across Guam and nearby island territories. Authorities in the region have urged residents to prepare for rapidly conditions as the storm continues its approach, while meteorologists monitor its track for further intensification or shifts in direction. Meanwhile, the UN World Meteorological Organization has warned that strengthening El Niño conditions will fuel more extreme heat waves worldwide in the coming months, with strong El Niño expected to develop rapidly between July and September. WMO says El Niño typically pushes global temperatures to record levels, and forecasters expect sea surface temperatures in the central and eastern Pacific to rise more than 2 degrees Celsius above normal. WMO also forecasts drier than average conditions across Central America, the Caribbean, the Americas, and parts of Southeast Asia, while East Africa could see wetter conditions and flooding during its rainy season. In other news, hornbill chicks were recently filmed leaving their nest in Yingjiang County, southwest China's Yunnan province, offering a rare glimpse of the breeding season of a first-class state-protected species. Hornbills, listed as a first-class state-protected species in China, breed from March to June, with chicks beginning to leave the nest by July. China is home to 5 hornbill species, all classified as first-class state-protected wildlife. Business news coming up next. For now, a short breather.
European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen has warned that upcoming trade talks between the European Union and China must deliver concrete results as Brussels steps up pressure over long-running trade imbalances. Speaking in Cork as Ireland began its 6-month presidency of the EU, von der Leyen said the bloc remains committed to dialogue but expects greater market access for European companies and an end to what it calls unfair Chinese subsidies. The EU chief also said the EU is prepared to use all available trade tools if Beijing fails to address its concerns. The warning follows calls by EU Trade Commissioner Maros Šefčovič for tangible progress in negotiations by October, as EU's goods trade deficit with China reached about 360 billion euros in 2025. The Maldives has called for greater international funding to protect its blue carbon ecosystems, saying they are vital to the country's economy and climate resilience. Maldives Climate Change Minister Ali Sharif said seagrass, mangroves, and coastal meadows support the tourism and fisheries sectors while helping absorb carbon and protect islands from rising sea levels. Speaking at a UN environmental meeting in Bangkok, Minister Sharif said the Maldives is expanding protected areas and investing in nature-based climate projects, but warned that the country cannot safeguard these ecosystems without stronger international support. The Maldives also urged closer regional cooperation on climate finance, carbon accounting, and sustainable coastal management. Foreign direct investment, or FDI, registered in Vietnam rose sharply to $34.65 billion in the first half of the year, marking a 61% year-on-year increase according to official data. Disbursed FDI also climbed to more than $13 billion, up 11.2% compared to the same period last year and reaching the highest first half level in 5 years. Manufacturing continued to dominate inflows euros, accounting for over 63% of newly registered and additional investment, underscoring Vietnam's continued role as a key regional production hub. Singapore remained the largest source of investment, followed by South Korea and Japan, highlighting sustained investor confidence from major Asian economies. Germany's coalition government has agreed to tighten sick leave rules as part of a broader package of labor and economic reforms aimed at improving productivity and supporting the country's struggling economy. Employees would reportedly be required to submit a doctor's note on the first day of illness, while the pandemic-era option of obtaining certificates by phone would be scrapped. German Chancellor Friedrich Merz said Germany could no longer afford high levels of workplace absence, calling it a competitive disadvantage for businesses. Medical associations warned that changes would overcrowd doctors' surgeries and increase pressure on the healthcare system without reducing the sick leave.
Time for sports update. Cape Verde's 2026 FIFA World Cup debut ended in a 3-2 extra-time defeat to defending champions Argentina in the round of 32, but its run stood out as one of the tournament's defining stories. The debutants showed that even football's underdogs can dream big and compete on the world's biggest stage. Pawana Kisi covers Cape Verde's World Cup journey.
Cape Verde's fairy tale 2026 FIFA World Cup run came to an end after a dramatic 3-2 extra-time defeat to defending champions Argentina in the round of 32. The debutant, despite the exit, has won global admiration for its fearless performances. A nation of just over 500,000 people pushed one of the world's greatest teams to the limit, earning admiration far beyond the final whistle. For Cape Verde, simply reaching the tournament was unprecedented. It became second smallest nation to qualify for the FIFA World Cup, and on its debut it refused to play the role of an underdog. It emerged as one of the tournament's biggest stories, earning global praise for its fearless games, including holding Spain to a draw, scoring historic goals against Uruguay and pushing Argentina to the limit in a dramatic knockout clash. Veteran goalkeeper Vozina was among Cape Verde's standout performers throughout the competition, producing a series of crucial saves that helped his side compete with the world football's biggest names. His saves and leadership became symbols of a team that consistently exceeded expectations throughout the tournament. Even noting that it made it extremely difficult for the reigning champions in a knockout battle that waned to an extra time. Verde's campaign also highlights a broader shift in African football. It had joined Morocco, Egypt, South Africa and other African representatives in demonstrating that the gap between traditional powers and emerging nations continues to narrow. Rather than a one-off Cinderella story, this campaign suggests the nation has built a sustainable football identity capable of competing on the global stage. Its 2026 journey will be remembered less for where it ended than for proving that football's smallest nations even can dream and compete with the world's biggest.
Now to the weather updates, first from Nepal and then across the world. And before we wrap up, let's take a look at the headlines once again. Nepal government reports 87% progress in 100-point reform agenda implementation. Also announces integrated relief package to Zenzi and Matias families. Nepal's National Assembly approves 4 bills. Finance Minister says government committed to removing Nepal from FATF grey list. Elephant intrusion surges as solar fence falls into disrepair in eastern Nepal's Chapa. Residents demand immediate action. Iran begins public mourning for Ayatollah killed in February. Such comes as Iran and US observe fragile ceasefire to halt conflict. Ukraine hits major oil terminal in Russia's St. Petersburg. Zelensky says target generates revenue for Russia's war. And World Cup knockout stage kicks off from today with Canada set to face Morocco, France to meet Paraguay in the other match. That is all for the moment. Do join us through our social media and visit us at www.nepaltelevision.com for more information and news. I am April Agising Lama. Thank you for watching. Good night.